109 in tackles, 29
All right,
for
wait,
loss,
wait,
15 points.
wait for that. We're gonna start already.
Oh,
We'll talk
my
about it
bad.
when we start.
I didn't think we were live already. All right, I was just saying it.
king and his men stole the queen from her bed.
He's got it! Touchdown!
Bound her in her bone.
Jones takes it
The
in.
seas be ours, and by the powers where we will roam.
What is good, Raider Nation? Welcome back to yet another episode of Raiders Wednesday Night Live Show. I'm joined by my friends Dustin and Cortez. Say what's up, everybody.
Salute Raider Nation.
Salute everybody. Salute to the chat. Salute to everybody, the mods, everybody on the panel, and everybody coming. Appreciate all you guys.
Salute
Somebody's
Richard.
mic is feeding back hella hard.
I think it's mine.
Better now? Got it? Okay, cool.
No, it's still doing it. It ain't now.
Okay, yeah, because you muted. All right, so hopefully you figure this out. But, yeah,
So
as
long story
always,
short, just so I know, salute to everybody in chat, salute to the mods, salute to everybody here on the panel, salute to the people that are coming, and appreciate everybody that shows up week in and week out, man. Like I said, the new year's going to be starting. We're going to have a lot of news, man. A lot of shit going to be coming about all kind of different players. So, like I said, a lot of stuff will be coming. Salute, Anthony, Dark Richard, John.
Yo. Is it better?
Everybody,
he's
man.
cool.
It's still doing it. Hefe, Lunatic.
Fuck Casey Hefe, that little bitch. I'll be right back.
All right. Hey, man.
Yeah.
You know, Dark, man, here soon, dude. That shit, it gets on me, too. I hate when I got to shave down because I just feel like I don't have my like, me, you know, so. But my woman and my family like it, so I have to do it.
It's an admirable reason. But yeah,
Yeah.
as always, thank you to the members of this panel for showing up. Thank you to the mods in the chat for holding it down. We wouldn't be able to do the show without you guys. And last but certainly not least, thank you to our viewers for watching and commenting along with us. As we begin this broadcast, we got another great one for you guys, as always. Just a quick reminder before we do get started, we will be having a chat
It's
bot.
still
in the
doing it.
comments
It's still doing it, Cortez.
Just Cortez, mute yourself until you talk, and then when you're done talking.
Yeah, that's rough. Why is it feeding back like that, though?
Yeah, maybe he has it open in multiple different tabs or something. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, as I was saying, so just a quick reminder before we do get started with our broadcast. We have a
What
chat
about now?
bot that's going to be in the comment section. No, I think it's still it is called our Nightbot. So if you guys wouldn't mind keeping an eye out for that Nightbot, which will be in just a couple short minutes, should be posting all the various links to our various platforms in the comment section. So if you wouldn't mind keeping an eye out for the Nightbot, and when it does post those links to when you get a chance, follow all those links to tap in with us on all of those platforms that it does post. That would be greatly appreciated. Just to give you guys a quick rundown of all those platforms, just so you can keep an eye out for each one. First and foremost, is going to give you guys a link to our YouTube channel, the Death Star Report YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't already, if you're on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, liking as many videos as possible, and commenting on as many videos as possible, that would be greatly appreciated. The Nightbot is also going to give you guys a link to the Nation Nightmare YouTube channel, which we're also currently broadcasting to, and which is also our friend Cortez's YouTube channel. So Same deal there. If you're on YouTube, if you haven't already, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, hitting the notification bell, liking as many videos as possible, and commenting on as many videos as possible, that'd be greatly appreciated. The Nightbot is also going to give you guys a link to our Twitch, the Death Star Report on Twitch. So if you guys haven't already, if you're on Twitch, if you wouldn't mind just following or giving us a subscribe there on Twitch, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. The Nightbot's also going to give you guys a link to our Instagram account, the Death Star Report on Instagram. Like I said, if you haven't already, if you wouldn't mind giving us a follow, maybe throwing some likes on some of our posts, and maybe even sharing some of our posts, not only to your story, but to your friends over DMs. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. And last but not least, the Nightbot is going to give you guys also a link to our DSR Discord server. So if you guys haven't already, if you wouldn't mind, if you have a Discord account, if you wouldn't mind following the link and joining us there at our Discord server, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. We consider that link the last, but certainly not the least, because we really consider it the heart of what we do here at DSR. It really just ties everything together. And above all else, it's a tremendous community. It's a great way to bond with a bunch of people over not just all things Raiders, but over a wide variety of topics. For example, we do have a Raiders chat, obviously, where we talk about all things Raiders, but we also have a general chat. We talk about life in general. We talk about the NFL at large. We have fantasy leagues, both NFL and NBA, and we've just started now recruiting people to join the league or the various leagues in the Discord. There are a bunch of them. And there's no buy-in, so completely risk-free. And if I'm not mistaken, Dustin, the winner of each league gets $25.
Yep. You're going to give a $25 gift card to whoever wins, and it'll give whatever one they choose.
Right, exactly. So it's a zero risk thing for you. It's just a great way to have some fun with, a bunch of people in the Discord playing fantasy football. And like I said, when the NBA season does roll around again, we will have an NBA fantasy leagues as well. We also have promotional events in there, such as free giveaways. We also have free movie nights where occasionally we'll hop in the Discord and we'll watch a movie together. That's great.
Coming back soon.
Well. Okay.
Coming back
All right.
soon.
Peace out. Let us know when you come back.
No, I'm saying the movies will be coming back soon.
Oh, the movies. Okay, yeah, right. So movie nights, they will be back soon. So once again, that's a great way to bond with a whole bunch of people in the Discord. Great way to spend a weekend night. Watching a movie with a bunch of other people. So we have that going on as well. We also have a bunch of links dedicated to Raiders content creators, not only over YouTube, but over other platforms like Twitter and Instagram. Many of whom are panel members as part of this show. And we also have a whole bunch of channels dedicated to sports updates through various leagues on platforms like Twitter and Instagram, so you guys can stay fully in the loop with as many sports updates across as many leagues as possible. So, like I said, if you wouldn't mind joining us at that Discord community, we'd love to have you guys. And we do thank you in advance for becoming part of our Discord community. So like I said, guys, if you keep it out for that Nightbot to post links to the Death Star Report YouTube channel, the Nation Nightmare YouTube channel, the Death Star Report on Twitch, the Death Star Report on Instagram, and last but certainly not least, as I just said, the DSR Discord channel. So like I said, if you guys wouldn't mind keeping an eye out for the Nightbot to post all those links and to then follow those links to tap in with us on all those platforms, we do appreciate that, and we do thank you in advance. The Nightbot will. The Nightbot posts
every 20 minutes roughly. It's on a 20-minute timer, so they'll see it in the chat every 20 minutes.
Right, exactly. So the Nightbot will be posting all of these links multiple times throughout the duration of this broadcast, so you guys will have multiple opportunities to check out all those links. So like I said, thank you in advance for tapping in with us if you haven't already on all those platforms. So with all that out of the way, without further ado, let's begin our broadcast with our first topic. So obviously, the biggest news of today for Raider Nation and for the Raiders was that today was the first actual day of practice for the team as a whole for training camp. So obviously, this today began the most important part, the most important phase of the offseason program for the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is where we're going to finally see a lot of the pieces that the team has been assembling, and this coaching staff is trying, and as well as the front office and in the GM and Dave Ziegler, the entire Raiders, top brass, if you will. We're going to start to see all these pieces start to come together, and hopefully, by the time week 1 rolls around, they'll be as prepared as possible. So, with that being said, obviously, there's, as always, as is the case with every year, there's certain things that you want to look for in training camp. Certain battles you want to see between players, not only in the same position, but sometimes opposing positions, because obviously competition, as well as not only within your own position, but against players on other sides of the ball, can be important as well. So why don't we just go around the panel and just discuss the training camp battles that we are looking forward to, and what specifically we're looking to see throughout this training camp. Al's Ghost, would you like to go first?
Yeah, salute guys. Salute Jeff, Dustin.
Salute, man.
I think for me, I'm really interested to see who emerges out of this running back group. So we have to operate under the assumption, right? You prepare for the worst, hope for the best. You got to work under the assumption that Josh Jacobs isn't going to be here, and you have to work under the assumption that he won't be here for the season. He may ultimately come back, but you just have to operate under those assumptions. So for me, I'm interested in seeing who out of the running back group emerges as, as the feature back, and who emerges as number 2, number 3. So I'd be interested to see out of camp who comes out of there. I think I'm also interested, we sort of have Michael Mayer as the de facto number 1 tight end, but I'd like to see how that tight end group shapes out. OJ Howard, I think he's just very, very talented, great speed, great measurables, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy, right? So I'd be interested to see how he emerges out of training camp specifically. And then we have, our latest signing as of yesterday or the day before, Marcus Peters, right? Getting signed, Oakland native, joining his childhood team. I'm very interested to see how he, what the reports are out of training camp, see if he's, adopting the playbook, if he's implementing the scheme, if he's a good citizen, so to speak, within the locker room. There's been a lot of chatter about the guy maybe not being a locker room guy or being a little bit too fiery. I personally think that that's good, and that's something that our secondary needs. But I'd be interested to see how Marcus Peters meshes, number 1, with the team. And I think number 2, being one of the veteran guys on the team, how he brings some of our younger players in the secondary along. I personally think he'll be a very good team player. Will he get beat? Absolutely. Will he sometimes get burned? Yes, he will. But scared money don't make money, right? He's a gambler type cornerback. He will get beat on some routes, but hopefully you trade those off with some interceptions. But I'd say probably generally those are my, the biggest groups that I'm interested in: running back, tight end, the cornerback room. More broadly speaking, the defensive scheme. I want to see what kind of alignment Patrick Graham is going to implement this upcoming season. As we all know, his defense is very multiple, 3-4, 4-3, a lot of nickel and dime packages. I want to see especially who's going to be playing on that defensive line on a down-to-down basis. I want to see if, the reports coming out, if Tyree Wilson is going to be sliding inside, and if so, what percentage of the time. Is Chandler Jones going to be playing more of an outside linebacker, or is he going to be an inline defensive end? How are, the 2 DTs who we drafted last year, the 2 young guys, how are they developing? So I'd be really interested specifically on how that defensive line group is going to shake out. And I know it seems like I'm touching on all the groups, but last but not least, the offensive line. I think the we have a few players on the offensive line who are solidified. Obviously, Colton Miller's going to be our left tackle. Andre James, it looks like he's going to be our center.
Mhm.
It looks like we're going to find a place for Dylan Parham somewhere along the line, whether that's left guard or right guard. And then I think there's like two question marks, right? One of the guard positions and then right tackle. Although I think Illuminor will eventually emerge as the starting right tackle, I want to see how that line shakes out, because one thing that I don't want to see this year that we saw last year is all of those musical chairs that we played with the offensive line. It seemed like it took till week 10, week 12 for us to actually solidify who the starting five were going to be. So hopefully this year we have continuity from the very beginning, because as you guys know, it's really important to build that chemistry amongst the five offensive
It's gonna
linemen.
happen now.
But those are my thoughts. How about you,
Hey.
Cortez? What are you interested in?
Hey, let me just say this. I seen what you put up in the chat, up in the during fantasy. No, I'm not taking Jimmy G with the first round pick.
You're taking Derek Carr,
That's
right?
first.
That's right.
No, I'm taking a running back. So let me say, what was the topic?
Just like in general, like what are you looking to see out of training camp? Initial things to
I'm
look out
just
for.
trying to see about Jim. I know Jimmy G's just gonna come to work, and he's gonna get that connection with Devontae, with Jacoby Myers, and like that foot looks good. He wasn't having no problems with the foot. And then I just want to see Marcus Peters at least get some interceptions off the quarterbacks and in training camp. See what our linebackers could do. My boy Robert Spillane, see what he could do. And when do they put on pads? Like next week? Do we know? Because I want to see them hit. That's my favorite part of training camp. See them hit each other.
Well, I mean, training camp itself is only a couple weeks, right? So
yeah, like 2-3 weeks,
and then they start actual like practice. So
yeah,
I would think that. Well, I guess like to prepare for the preseason games, they would be in full pads at least, leading up to it. I would imagine, but I don't know. Maybe we can look that up. But yeah, I mean, just in general, yeah, I mean, obviously, as you point out, Cortez, it is exciting and it's somewhat relieving, I would say, to hear what we did out of training camp, especially between the likes of Jimmy G and obviously his number one target in Davante Adams. Apparently, the two, they shared at least a moment of, of building chemistry. They were obviously able to embark upon something that's going to be a very important part of the offense this year. Which is trying to figure out each other's tendencies to develop a good relationship on the field, to say nothing of off the field as well. But that was that was good to hear as well. So that's probably what I would say. That's probably first and foremost the number one thing I would look for, as far as can Jimmy G and Davante Adams really stay on track, not only through training camp, but through the weeks of practice into week one, and obviously throughout the season. Because
Pyro,
Pyro
Pyro
coming in now. I think that's paramount as far as all the things to look for in this training camp, because what's interesting about Jimmy G's time with the 49ers is that he didn't really have like a true number one wide receiver. I mean, obviously, you have the talented likes of Deebo Samuel, and I believe at least for a certain amount of time, maybe it was a couple games, he played with Christian McCaffrey. So there was a little bit of that going on.
Hey, Jeff, I just want to add this. I'd rather have Jacoby Myers over Ayuk. In my opinion, I think Ayuk's a bust.
I mean, I don't think I would go that far. I mean, I would probably. No,
I'd rather have our receivers. Jimmy G's gonna have a better at throwing at these receivers than them gadget receivers that San Fran runs. Because Debo is a gadget wide receiver.
Right, exactly. So he's what a lot of people consider a wide back, right? Some like a kind of hybrid between a wide receiver and a running back. So given that during his time, with the 49ers, Jimmy G's, it seemed like he developed the best relationship as far as, with another receiver in George Kittle. And obviously as a tight end, George Kittle was running different routes than Devontae Adams will be or has been throughout his career. So it's a different kind of relationship to build, but at the same time, we all know that Devontae Adams is way too good to not, prioritize as much as possible. So, like I said, I mean,
He was already dropping dots on or on Devontae today on out routes.
right, exactly. So that's
I
really
think
that was
Jimmy's going to be fine when it comes to the playing. I mean, I think up from here, it's just going to be competition. Just go out and play. I mean, shows up now. He has all this time preseason and going into the regular season. So hopefully it's enough time for him to get acclimated with them.
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that sort of thing, right? Like, unfortunately, due to Jimmy G's, injury realities in the beginning of the offseason, he was unable to take any kind of any kind of snaps, to build any kind of on the field relationship with Devontae Adams. And so because of that, he's at somewhat of a disadvantage, or he's starting late with respect, compared to other, quarterbacks and developing relationships, um, or building back that chemistry that they've already established with their number one target. So, obviously there's a little bit, there's some ground to be made up. So we're looking for the learning curve, I guess, between the two of them to be a little bit steeper, just to sort of draw even or to catch up with the rest of the league. But like I said, I think that will obviously be first and foremost the biggest thing to monitor throughout throughout training camp, as well as throughout the season. But that'd personally be my biggest number one takeaway or thing to look for when it comes to training camp. The second thing, and Al's Ghost also mentioned this earlier, is that I think the run game, in relief of Josh Jacobs, if that does indeed become a reality, where he sits out the entirety of the season and he's not available, I obviously think that is going to be an important thing too, especially because despite the fact that Josh Jacobs was obviously first team All Pro running back, rushed for 1,600 yards last year. In terms of team rushing yards cumulatively, the Raiders were only in the middle of the pack as far as run game. So, the fear or the concern right now is that you take away the kind of production that a guy like Jacobs had last year, and now how do you fill that, right? Like, that's the question. How do you still sustain a decent run game, which obviously is going to be very important, particularly important when you think about the other offenses in this division, if you ask me. But just on general purposes, it's going to be a very important aspect of this team's offense. So, to your point, Al's Ghost, I would definitely say, we should definitely be looking out for what kind of combination of running backs left on this depth chart outside of Josh Jacobs are looking like they can get it done, that can sustain a good kind of a run game. I mean, obviously the first name that comes to mind is Zamir White, obviously the Raiders draft pick in last year's draft. So, but obviously the Raiders haven't listed others like Brandon Bolden, Mir Abdullah, brought back guys like that. So that would also be another big thing that I would look for, throughout training camp, because those two things, like I said, the pass game between Jimmy G and Devontae, as well as just a run game in general, which on top of that, we also know that a good run game is a big part of a successful Jimmy G oriented offense, because
what player are we talking about for the battle? Or are we talking about camp battles or Josh?
Well, I was just saying, like, in general, like, things to look out for. I mean, just in general, like, I mean, I guess, as far as like a battle, you're talking about the depth chart with running back. Like, I guess right now, Zamir White's at the top of the depth chart, especially with Jacobs obviously not, his status kind of in limbo for the time being. But I would just think that he would be the favorite to become the bell cow of this team should Josh Jacobs not play this year. So, like I said, the pass game and the run game, I think, to start off would be the two big things that I'd look for throughout this training camp. Sergio, salute for joining us. Was there anything you wanted to add as far as certain things like throughout training camp that you're looking to see? Any kind of particular battles between players or within certain position groups? Certain relationships you want to see build? What do you think?
Yeah, salute to everyone. Salute to everyone in the chat, salute to everyone on the panel too. I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, everyone just wants to see the running backs. Like, I mean, I've heard that apparently Britton Brown has been like killing it at camp so far, which that excites me because, to be honest, like I kind of like at a personal preference, I kind of just want to see if Brown can beat Zamir White for that running 2 spot, just because I feel like I don't know, like last year, even though it was preseason, I felt like Brown was like one of the best players in preseason, and obviously, like, I mean, the 2 spots that like I'm excited to see is just besides like obviously there's the running back, but then there's also like the offensive line. Like, I want to know who's going to be the right guard. Like, is it going to be Tay Moody, McLennan Curtis? Maybe they move Jermaine as the right guard because they are beating him at the right tackle. Like, that one's going to be an interesting spot since it kind of looks like the whole O line is solidified. It's just that one spot that everyone's questioning right now. So to me personally, it's kind of like the one spot I really want to know, like who's going to win that spot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that and As Ghost mentioned that as well. The battle, I guess, within the O line is another big one to watch as well because first and foremost, right? If we're talking about trying to keep Jimmy G as healthy as possible, the protection has to be there, especially as far as the pass game goes. So, I really think if Josh McDaniels is going to rally around Jimmy G as his starter, he's really going to have to lock in and really be sure about every single position on the offensive line, just to give him a stable pocket. Because as we obviously all know, Jimmy G is not a extend the play kind of mobile dual threat kind of a quarterback. He's a pocket passer. So. Yeah, I mean, obviously, as Al's Ghost mentioned, you have Colton Miller. That's pretty much locked in at left tackle. Andre James probably locked in at center. And then I would argue that Dylan Parham would play one of the guard positions, probably left guard. So that being the case, your whole right offensive side of the line, that's probably the 2 positions in particular that are going to need the biggest amount of consideration throughout training camp. I guess as it stands presently, just because he's a McDaniels guy, he's a former Patriot, and he's played his best football under McDaniels, whether it was here in Las Vegas or in New England with the Patriots. Jermaine Illuminor, I would expect to be the favorite as of now to be at right tackle, but given that, even still, at the very least, you have the right guard position, which is still somewhat of a question mark. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about favorites as far as that goes, but that's obviously a very important position as well. So, like I said, solidifying the O-line would definitely be another big part of what to look for in training camp and a big part of what this offense, I think, hopes to do if they're going to be able to compete not only in this division but throughout the NFL. What was there anything anybody else wanted to add as far as any other things to look out for?
Yeah, because you guys are missing out on a lot of people, dude. I mean, like you got Johnson and Smith in the safety position. You got Jay Butler, fucking Nichols and Tillery. You got Coons Plant and Rochelle, dude. Like you guys talk on two people basically. Like the halfback. I mean, I've stated from day one, I think Britton Brown was going to take that job over Zamir. I said Zamir run into the fucking wall. He's not a good halfback, dude.
I mean, it's like I said too. Like Brown just seems a lot more fluid.
The second we got him here, I said it. The second we drafted him here, I said that fool was going to be the best halfback. I said he'd be better than Zamir. I said that he would take that job before Zamir got it. He has way better vision, way better play style. I said it on our show when we were live, or live on our show, and during that I've knocked that
I
dude
disagree with you with.
every.
Hey,
I've
hey,
put since
hey! I
Samir
disagree with
or
you,
Sincere.
Dustin, with the Zamir White comment. I'm a
Well, you
Zeus
can
fan.
disagree all you want. It doesn't matter. Outside of that, I've said Sincere, and Brown. Like, I think those are going to be your main people there. So, like, in the camp, that's who I'd be focusing on is Sincere and Britton Brown, and see where their play style is. I mean, I already know where Zeus is. I mean, fucking, he can't walk on water. He can barely run behind a line. So, like I say, he's going to be fucking running into people. I think when you look at the players, that would be my battle in there. Then you go into, like, the tight end. You still going to have Hooper and Howard going to battle it out. And that's even implying if they keep one, if not both. Like, you have multiple battles that are going to go across this deal.
Yeah, I've been hearing recently that Mayor's been just impressing everyone since he.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna be the number one. Like, he's gonna be.
I kept telling you, like, the moment you I'm like, this dude is gonna be tight end one. Like, especially when I heard he did this crazy catch that they said, like, he did this like leaping one-handed catch on the sideline.
But that's why I say they got all kind of battles that are going to go out in here. Like Moody for Bars. I mean, I don't even think it's a battle, but I think Moody's going to knock Bars out. But still, even in that line, I mean, in the right tackle, we already know they can discuss it 50 million different times. Illuminor is going to take that job until otherwise. I mean, if Munford has it, and I even have Moreau right here, Munford and Illuminor, it's either or. They're both going to be there, so nobody's going to be getting cut or going to be getting traded, because I don't know if Illuminor would have value. Maybe. I don't know if he would, but even if he did, it'd probably be like late pick. Either way, it's something to go back on. Then you go out there. Outside of that, you're going to go to Kuntz, Plant, Rochelle. I mean, the second Rochelle comes in here, that changes the whole entire deal in the DNs, dude, because this guy has production in his deal, and he's only 28 years old. And then your with Plant and Kuntz, like I said, I've said from day one, Willis's ass ain't going to be here. I said that from day one, that boy is going to be a cut candidate. That dude that came from Nigeria or wherever he's at, he's going to go back to the squad, because he's just here to pretty much learn it, get used to it, probably be better off next year. Wilson's going to be here no matter what. Kuntz, I mean, so there's another guy here, and then Max's conference makes me start thinking about it too. I've asked heck of times, even on our live, is like, who's that Tarlis dude? Like, I don't know who that Tarlis guy is. I don't know who he is. And then here he goes. Here's Max over here in his pressers saying about, I tell Tarlis every single day, man, you got to vision it like if I was, what's going to be going for. Like, he's already talking on a dude like that. So now it makes me want to think, okay, now I gotta have to watch this guy now, So that's all I say. They got a lot of different battles that are going to go here. I mean, Jade 7th round pick knocked Matthew Butler out. I mean, I think Adam Butler is going to be gone anyways. And then freaking, like I said, Jenkins. So I mean, Jade can change a whole lot of deals there. That can go between Nichols and Tillery too. And then going into your safeties, I mean, Johnson and Smith's going to be a good one to watch too. And then Paulo, depending on if they're looking to go, are they going to move him to linebacker? Are they going to leave him in the safety position? All those things. I mean, the corner, I just think it's a crapshoot. I mean, you just got so many people here. Faisam, Shelley, Long, Robinson, Webb, Bennett, Hall, Hobbs, Peters. I mean, it's just a lot of different. Just going to be on who they think, in there. I don't think there's going to be like a technical battle. I mean, maybe Bennett and Long, or Bennett. I mean, that's what I would think it would come down to, is like if he's going to get the spot over Long. But either way, I mean, there's a lot of battles that are going to go on here, and a lot of interesting ones, because some of these can just change the whole entire deal. I mean, I've even wrote down like Hooper and Howard. I would prefer both of them. Like, I would prefer to get rid of fucking, like I've said, fucking Horsted, and I would roll with Sims. I'd roll with Sims and put him over there and run with 4 tight ends, and have Sims in there instead of Horsted, and then keep Howard, Mayer, and Hooper. But again, like, that's what the good thing about camp is they're going to get to see a lot of different rotations, a lot of different deals. And I mean, with offensive line in camp, you guys, I mean, if you're paying attention to what they're saying in the press conferences and what Josh is saying in his press conference, he said, like, you're never going to see the line with the same two set of people side by side because they're trying to figure out shit in camp. They're not, they pretty much probably know who their people are going to be to begin with. And that's all. They know like what they're doing. And just like he said, like, they want to roll through different rotations to see how well they work on different types of plays. So when you're sitting here looking at these people, I mean, I think you got the base. I've already said when you look at Miller, Parham, and James, you already know like those three are going to be there. Bars is garbage, dude. Like Moody's the only one makes sense to move over there, so I'd put them in there. And then Illuminor and Munford, I mean, fuck, they're going to be there. They're there any way you look at it. It's just the protection on Wagner. Curtis, is he going to back up Moody? Like that kind of shit, because maybe the battle comes down to Meredith and Curtis. Like, you ever think about that? Meredith graded out pretty well. He had a good year. Harron just got off the physical, past his physical. So, I mean, we traded draft pick for that fool. So, I mean, you got Harron, you got Meredith, you got Curtis, you got Wagner. I mean, you got a lot of people in there. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of battles.
Yo, Dustin, who do you think emerges on the defensive line? What's our starting rotation?
What, in the D tackle?
Yeah, the D tackle. Actually,
I mean, Jade, dude. I think Jade's gonna start shocking a lot of people. I mean, Neil Farrell's gonna be there for sure.
Jade is kind of like, me and Dustin discussed this a lot. Jade is kind of looking like the next like Max Crosby, like late round defensive lineman that just shows out of nowhere.
What's the news on Young? Like on his injury, didn't Young have an injury?
Yeah, he's on the actual PBU list.
Young and Farrell both have injuries.
Oh, so they're both on the PUP list?
Yeah, but I think Farrell's on the isn't he on the, he's on the F,
what, non-football? Non-football injury list?
Yeah, the NFI list.
Yeah, non-football injury. Okay. But Young is actually a football injury then. So he must have been nursing something in the draft then. Maybe that's why he dropped
I said, like, in my opinion, I think Neil Farrell is going to show up. I said it last year. I spoke on it numerous times in the year about how they traded Jenkins, how they played him against the Chiefs, dude, how they knew after that Chiefs game that they knew that he was going to be good because they traded Jenkins right to the Cowboys.
You mean Hankins?
You know? Or Hankins, yeah, fucking, I said Jenkins, because I was reading his name right here for the D tackles. But either way, they, damn, now I just lost on what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think Farrell's going to be the nose tackle.
Hankins, but Farrell, either way, Farrell's going to be good. They knew back then on that Chiefs game that fool was going to be good, and that's why they traded that dude, Hankins. So that's all I'm saying. Like, they knew then. So, like, for me, I've said I think that it's going to be Tillery, Farrell, Young. I think Jade's going to make that squad. I really do. I think when he gets pads on, dude, and just has that brute strength on people, I think he's going to probably end up earning a spot at the end of the day. And then it gets dicey. Is it going to be Matthew Butler, Nichols? That's where the question is going to come down to. Do they cut Tillery, keep Nichols, Butler? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's real washy when it gets to those guys.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't seen none of them in camp, and I don't want to speak on any of them like I know what they're doing. And salute Jason. I just think, like, I don't like speaking on players like right now, for instance. Like, I don't know what any of them are doing. Like, we haven't seen shit on them. We don't know where they're performing. Like, we can sit here and be biased on an individual name, but it doesn't mean that Adam Butler ain't showing up in camp. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that Matthew Butler is showing up in camp over Nichols. Like, I just don't know those answers yet, so I just don't try to say it like that.
Yeah, I get where you come from. For me, I've got to wait till the preseason to really see where they're at.
Yeah, I'd like to see something of them before I can be like, yeah, that dude's fucking balling. So, and then you're not going to cut down people until the very last game of the season or preseason now. So, I mean, let's be real. You're going to fucking get to hold dudes for all 3 games now. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's what I said.
No, you get to, for sure, 100%. You don't have to make the 53-man cut down until the end of the preseason.
Yeah, because that's why they put the bye. I think the bye week, because they're usually 4 games. So now after the 3rd game during the bye week between the start of the season and the
there is 4 games. It's just only one team or Yeah, I think it's only one
Yeah,
team
and
plays
it's
for
only
14
two
because it's
teams
the Hall
back
of
then.
Fame game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
two. Yeah, because they play each other. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Two.
yeah, 2 teams.
But it's
yeah,
the
'cause
Hall of
a
Fame game. We
yeah,
did it
exactly.
last year. We
Yeah.
did it last year.
Yeah, but I just meant there's only like
Who
3
has the Hall of
official
Fame this
preseason
year?
weeks.
Who's playing in that one?
Isn't
I'm
it
pretty
the
sure one of
Boston
them is the
Hard
Jets.
Knocks?
I've
Jets,
seen
yeah,
it,
the
but I
Jets.
can't think about it right off the top of my head.
I can't remember who they're playing, those Jets and someone. Because I'm pretty sure what they're doing is they're going to put the bottom team out there in the Hall of Fame game every year. Like last year.
Yeah, it's the
It was,
Jets versus the Browns.
Yeah, Jets and Browns.
Isn't that
So
coming?
they're-
Yeah,
like
but
in a
see,
week or
everybody's
so?
thinking like, oh, they're going to see Rodgers out. They ain't going to see Rodgers.
No,
that
fuck
night.
no.
Yeah,
Rodgers
Rodgers.
ain't
No,
gonna
they're going
play.
to see Zach Wilson.
They're going to
out
see
there.
Zach Wilson's ass in that game.
Yeah.
Fucking straight up.
Bro,
Like Zach
imagine being
Wilson
the
out there
second
fucking.
overall pick, and then like in 1 to 2
Losing
years,
your
you're just
job to
immediately
Rodgers,
replaced
or
by
just
Rodgers.
losing your
Yeah,
job
that's-
overall.
That just
That
proves it
sucks.
doesn't matter where you're drafted, you can still suck. Even like, you know, with better
Hey, Dustin, your
knowledge in
A's
college football.
suck.
That what?
The A's are getting beat by 3 points right now, 3-0 in San
Fuck, they were
Fran.
chanting, sell the team.
I know, and the San Francisco Giants at freaking Oracle Park.
Maybe you should just sign to Mark Davis. I really into the basketball team. I mean, the girls.
What did he say? Sell the baseball team to Mark Davis?
Yeah, I was joking.
That'd be the worst idea. That'd be the worst. They would be the most brokest, but they would be even broker
Hey,
under him than they are now.
Hey, bro, his WNBA teammate, bro. They fucking won a chip for Mark.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
give
what
a
I'm
fuck,
saying.
dude. The baseball
out
teams
rings,
are off of the net wealth of the owner, bro. Like, there's no
I know.
cap in baseball. So you can, if a motherfucker got fucking $100 billion, he gonna buy whoever the fuck he wants.
Bro, Cortez, I didn't know you watched the WNBA.
Oh yeah, I'm a golden. I'm a Las Vegas A's fan.
He's a subscriber, dude.
Yeah, I'll be at one of their games.
He's gonna be in
couple
the
weeks.
calendar for the year and everything.
Shut up, Dustin. That's you.
Fucking court. Pablo Escobar style.
Shut up, Al.
If it gets too loud, let me know. I'll roll my windows up. It's just getting hot.
Oh
as
shit,
fuck, dude.
Dustin,
Like,
Dustin, you gotta roll that shit up. It's hurting my ears. Roll that shit up now.
I know you're gonna be a bitch. Say that shit, dude.
Fuck,
Hey,
man,
Dustin.
that shit's hurting my ears.
Hey
I got
Dustin,
my
do you have the
headphones in. That shit's hurting my ears.
Hey Dustin, do you have the windows rolled down for a visitor or what?
Fuck no.
Hey, remember that
It's
one
road
lady
shop,
that tried to
dude.
give him a visit?
Dude, you should have seen yesterday, dude. After I show up to the dispensary, dude, fucking come walking out. Fucking guy tells me, he's like, hey, can you help me? And I was like, dude, I don't have any cash because I don't. I just carry my cards. I don't use cash. He said, oh, I don't need that. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I ain't even fucking talking to this guy. So I just started walking off, go to my car. He gets up, starts walking. And I'm thinking, all right, dude, I literally just told you that I wasn't going to fucking, I would have helped him if he needed, but at this point now he's just following me. So I opened up my door, get out, and I was just standing right there. And he was like, yeah, I just got my ass whooped over here at the ATM machine because some lady left her card there and somehow it spit out fucking 10 or 20 bucks. And he's like, I tried to walk it out, but then some lady got mean, so I went back in and put it down. Some dude came in and whooped his ass. I'm like, yeah, that's tough for you, man. And he's like, you got any bud or anything? I'm like, nope, just get cartridges. He's like, can I hit it? Fuck no, you can't fucking hit it, dude. Like, I don't even know what the fuck you got, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that ain't happening.
Plot twist. That was Cortez.
Oh, man, I'm not even gonna lie. You run into the weirdest shit around here sometimes, man. Like, just the weirdest shit. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, the guy, he was bleeding right here on his head, that big old swelled up jaw. He's all, I would have whooped his ass. I would have fought back and whooped his ass. But we would have both ended up in the hospital. Yeah, I bet you would have.
So to be clear, Dustin, this guy got beat up because he got money from an ATM machine that wasn't.
What happened? The lady left her card in the machine, and when she walked off, and that bank, they can give you like $10, $20. You know what I mean? And he put in like 10 or 20 bucks, I guess. and it fucking came out. And then he was walking out, and some lady caught him. So he tried to go back. He claimed that he went back in and tried to put the money like back by the ATM with the card. But the boyfriend came in and seen that he took the money off and beat his ass right there in the teller room. So, hey, that's what you get, man. You didn't have fucking fresh shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I say. Like, hey, I'm not gonna be fighting no motherfucker over no stupid shit like that. So I ain't even gotta worry about that. But
was he like a smaller dude? Was he like a smaller dude or?
Oh, he was a little skinny motherfucker, dude. Like, hell skinny. Like, he knew what he was doing. He knew he took that fucking money. I mean, he straight up tried to tell me, like, oh, it's spit it out. They didn't spit it out, motherfucker. You straight put the number in, because when she didn't take her card out, it asks you right on the screen, do you want another transaction? You said yes, went to the deal, fucking asked for the money. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I just think, like, when you do that, you're entitled to get your ass beat. Like, I would fuck him up too. So, and the funny part is that dude got trapped in the room. So, like, hey, you ain't going nowhere. So tough shit on that one, you know. So that's all I'm saying is like, I don't know why people do dumb shit like that. They'll sit out like at the bank. They'll literally just sit right at the curb, right at the deal. Every time I get money out of there, I fucking feel like a dick, because I'll go and help people. But you got to think about it. Like, they're not giving you $1 bills at the ATM fucking machine, and those motherfuckers know that shit. You know what I mean? Like, then they got like a whole entire hut. Like, they got this whole street hut. Watch, next time I buy it, I'll show it, dude. Like, it's got this whole little street hut, and there's like 2-3 of them just standing there with fucking signs. I'm like fucking driving by. I'm like trying to do this. So I fucking like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I hate being a dick like that, but it's just fucking, it's crazy. I can't even believe they can even do that. Not like I'm gonna get that full, like, here's $20. Like, sorry, man, you want $20? Come to my house and pick some fucking weeds. I'll give you $20, no problem. You know, like, come feed my horse, clean up some shit, dude. Like, oh, I have no problem paying a guy for working. Motherfucker think I'm gonna go to my bank account and go out and just throw this full fucking bills? Like, hell fucking no.
Seems like the guy pulled the Trent Brown, just stole money, dude.
Hey, like I said, he gets his ass beat for it. That's what got coming to him, you know. So, but people like that, I don't have no sympathy for, man. Like, if I had Bud, I would have gave him a joint when he asked, but I don't. I just get the cartridges, you know. So, then fucking, I just think, like, the thing is I hate when people, like, when you tell someone no, and then they'll follow you, Nah, hell no, fucking hanging with no crackhead motherfucker, like. But I hate when they'll just follow you to your vehicle. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, all right, man, I'll fucking thump this motherfucker real. Dude, I had one guy walk up to my car up at fucking Freddy's while I was waiting for my woman. This dude walks up, fucking comes over to me. I got my window up, dude, sitting there talking, and just standing at my window, dude. And I'm like, all right, this is weird as hell. So I roll my window down. I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, can I get in? Oh, you can fucking get in my car. What the fuck you mean, can you get in? Like, can you get the fuck away? Like, some straight weird shit, dude. Got my kids and shit. Like, weird. That fucking bug just flew up in my nose, bro.
Jeez. He's having a tough day.
Fuck. It didn't taste good. That bitch was like... Watch, the next time I get a little lot lizard that walks by my car, I'm going to put her on the live.
Lizard? Like from the airplane?
Yeah, that's what they call them, lot lizards. They call them lot lizards.
MG knows all about lot lizards.
Yeah, dude, have her pull up on the panel, dude. Maybe she knows about the Raiders.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll be like, you want a 20? Hop on real
You
quick.
sound like a Raiders fan based on your description.
I'll be like, you know anything about football? No? Act like you do. No, I was like, no, hell no. I'd be like, which one of these you want to suck is Peter? Which one on here? All you guys turn the cameras on real quick, so you're going to need to see. We're in a matchmaking right now.
Fucking chat roulette.
Oregon, John. I'm in the Oregon.
Jeez. Okay, so what topic did we leave off at? Just
we were just on the same one from the beginning, the camp battles.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the biggest training camp battles is going to be Dustin and this crackhead. No, I'm kidding. But
Oh,
they're
fuck.
going to be a whole bunch of different training camp
Bet
battles.
money on the crackhead.
Yeah, I think Dustin's losing that one. Shit.
Yeah, I'm from Stockton, dude. Like, my family lives in Lodi, dude. Like, they're all, that's the closest place is Stockton, is where most of my family's from. But I was born in Riverside. That's where a lot of my family's from, Oakland. And then, like I said, like, where most of my grandparents, my mother, all them stay, they stay right outside of Stockton in a town, Lockford, like Clements and Lockford.
Like,
Well, San Andreas is the actual town. It's San Andreas. So, like, the San Andreas fault line up by Comanche and Burson and all that, that's where she's really at. But people don't even know where the fuck that's at, so I just say Stockton. It's the easiest way. So we were all raised in a campo. We're all raised in a campo there, and Lodi, Stockton. I mean, that's where we grew up our whole entire life. So, but outside of that, I moved up here. I got my kids here, raised them here to farm, just be out of the street life, more in the farming and shit like that. So I didn't want to raise them down there in the streets where I was at. So I came up here, had all my kids, and then now they all, they go to fucking homeschooling, private schools. They go do a lot of different things, go out in the nature, fishing, hunting. I mean, my kid's 5, she can shoot a gun. I mean, I do a lot of shit with my kids. I got to train them kids, man. So my 5-year-old that's going to be 6 can drive fucking $1 million tractors, dude, that none of you guys could, guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not discrediting you guys, but I'm just saying, like, she's 5 and I'll hop right in that motherfucker with everything in it, go mobbing on her own. Like, that's just, I say, I think when you get away from those type of deals where it's simplified because everybody always wants to be around everybody. When I was growing up, I felt like my strongest points in life was when I was by myself. When my most weakest points were my most strongest points by myself. So I felt like if I was going to raise my kids, bring them here and introduce them to that lifestyle, like I said, they cowboy, they ride horses, they rope, they do all kinds of things. There's no limit for them, man. I mean, my kids were swimming at 2 years old, potty trained at 1, walking at 1, like, that's why I just say, like, we try to push every limit they can, in their brain, physically, mentally, anything, so I just feel like my family down there, man, that they're toxic, bro. They're hella toxic. So they're more in the drama. They're more in the just in everybody's life. They'll tell you can't do shit because they never do shit. Like, it's just toxic, and I hate that environment because that's all I heard my whole life. It's not a good environment when you're trying to do things when all everybody does is try to set your standards for you. So for one, I didn't want my kids being raised like that, so that's why we came here. Close enough, but far enough where they won't drive up here, but I'll drive there just whenever I choose.
So that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, so obviously a lot of training camp battles to look out for, a lot of stuff to monitor throughout these next several weeks as the team, like I said, prepares for the preseason. And ultimately into the regular season where they begin to play meaningful football. So and Cortez, this is your topic if you want to get us started on it, but not necessarily related to training camp, although tangentially so, to some extent related to it. Jacoby Myers, obviously the Raiders' big offseason wide receiver signings this year, restructured his contract to make room for about $3 million towards the salary cap. So
Cortez is here for this one.
Yeah, so go for it, Cortez, if you want to.
Hey, like I said earlier, I'd rather take Jacoby Myers over Ayuk. Ayuk's a bust. That's just my opinion, and it's good for him.
He's not a bust. He is not a bust as a receiver. He puts up the yards, but I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. Either way, it doesn't matter. What has he
shown, though, as a first rounder? He hasn't shown nothing.
I mean, what has he got? Fucking 700-800 yards, 800 yards,
and it's a
touchdowns first season. I mean, that's not bad, and especially if he's only in isn't it only his second, third year? Plus, he was injured too, so I don't think he's too bad.
It's his fourth year.
Yeah, I don't.
His fourth year.
Is it his fourth? What's his yards? If you're on his page, what's his yards?
Yeah.
He's about 700-800 a year.
What is it?
Throughout his career?
Yeah, just what's his career stats? Like, what's his 3 years? I take it because it's going to be 4 this year.
2,589 total receiving yards, 194 receptions, a long of 54 yards, and 18 touchdowns.
How many touchdowns did he say?
18.
18.
I mean, that's not slouch numbers in 3 year
Exactly.
span. And 2,500 yards. I mean, if you're averaging in 3 years, it's over 700 because 750, 777 is it's going to be 21. So if he's at 25, even if you were at 8, 16 is 24. So it's 800 plus yards per season. It's 800 yards plus per season.
He's almost at 2,600 because it's like 748, 826, and 1,000.
And again, Myers don't even have 18 touchdowns in no fucking in his fucking 4 years. His 4 years, he got what, 8? If I'm right, 6 and 2.
I still prefer him over.
That's what I would say is more prefer the player, because when we're looking at saying that a player is a bust and his yards are better than Myers has 2 back-to-back 800-yard seasons, like that's one thing. But obviously Ayuk is putting up 800 yards every season. You know what I mean? And then 18 touchdowns. If you did that by 4, what is it? 4, 8, 12, 16. So roughly 4.5 touchdowns per year.
Yeah, but I just think that was a good idea to restructure Jakobi Meyers' contract to get us back get us back to money over the cap.
Where did you say we were at too? What was the cap now?
It was 2.8.
Yeah, they got to be somewhere around even, I think, at this point, because with the Marcus Peters signing, I think
they're well over. They're well over even, because even with Peters signing, only put us in the
we're at 5 million
negative
now.
by 2 million.
6.
Yeah, because they put us in the. Yeah, because they cut Isaac and frickin' Chase with no dead cap hit whatsoever.
They were both equal, like $1 million or over $1 million for both.
Yes, I'll give you the exact number. It's 5.
I think it was 750 per player is 1.5 million.
Yeah, exactly. So we have 5,954,740. That's what we're at now.
Yeah, it's 5 million.
Well, is that over the cap or
5 million? How much? 5 point what?
5.9 basically.
5.9 million.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so we're at 5.
Almost
6 mil.
Like
that's what I'm saying. With just those few little moves, man, and the signing, we got money. Like, we wouldn't have that in the past. Fuck, we made a signing like that with Peters. We'd be right at the negative, not getting shit. These motherfuckers. Not only did they fucking sign Peters, Rocha. Fucking, I don't think they signed that halfback that they were looking at from the XFL. But long story short, outside of that, they fucking, they went on and went from being at 2 million, going into the negative 2 million, and then coming back out at damn near 6 million. Like I say, Ziegler's a good GM, man. There's no doubt about it. He's a very good GM. He's very smart.
Heck yeah, he should be GM of the year this coming year.
It's gonna be
everything works out.
Yeah, if everything works out, because like I said, he ain't no Mayo. He came from being a pro scout, and a personnel executive, an assistant GM to now being the GM. Not like Mayo, who just stepped out of the booth and decided to fucking GM one day.
Yep.
Ziegler's completely different. He's been around the league. Like, he's been a pro scout. He's been a personnel executive. He's been an assistant GM with Bill Belichick.
Good, NorCal.
And you think about it, he's almost $6 million. He's almost $6 million. Picked up Peters. Cut a corner. Cut a frickin'.
And let's not forget, he picked up Petco. He picked
quarterback.
Up Rocha.
Picks up DN, and then still in the profit margin. He's still in the profit margin.
Yeah, Cortez has a point. He picked up. We re-signed that DT Kyle Pecco too.
Yeah, Kyle Pecco.
Oh yeah, Pecco too. So shit. Yeah, you're right.
And we're still 6 million almost positive. So
yep, over. Maybe throw 2.
Oh shit! Did it? Shut the fuck up,
So,
man. Hey,
Dustin, that's been
yeah.
really big news in the Saints fan base right now. They're really
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, that's funny shit right there,
What?
bro.
What are you reading?
So, okay, so I don't want to turn this
Alright.
into like an argument or anything, but the Saints fan base has been kind of worried lately because ever since their training camp started, Carr's been throwing nonstop interceptions.
He got 3.
That's
He threw.
what that dumbass gets.
It says he just threw his third it says Derek Carr just threw his 3rd interception. Derek Carr has thrown his 3rd straight interception to Alontae Taylor.
I told them Saints fans that Carr's gonna fuck up, and they're all Carr this, Carr that. That's hilarious.
Hey, like I said, Ziegler, man, I spoke on this last year. Ziegler sees shit and people do that when they go, they don't end up doing better. They end up doing worse. So hopefully it stays true, but I wish Carr the best. I mean, I'm not going to wish bad on anybody, but long story short is like I said, Ziegler sees that shit, dude. He's got really good sense at it. I said that's something you can't teach people, dude. Like that's just something people have naturally, dude. Like you can only teach it to an extent. The way that Ziegler sees it, he's hit on every single one of his releases, his trades. Like he's hit on all of them.
I mean,
like
yeah,
there's not a guy that's gone on and just been falling out.
At this point, Derek Carr is like the only one where, like, is he right to let him go or was he wrong? So like, if Carr,
that's the only choice.
Like if Carr plays bad or if he's like just average, like it's still a good release. But if he like balls out, he's doing 30+ touchdowns again, then it's gonna kind of look bad. But I mean, that's kind of the only cut that anyone's gonna be like, see, Ziegler is bad at cutting. I'm be like, yeah, but that's like the only dude, obviously.
Yep. Hey, so fuck Carr. Let's get back to what we were talking about.
All right, yeah. Let's get back to the subject.
It's still funny that he's got 3 straight.
To a rookie, too. That's a rookie.
Yeah. But fuck, he might be getting $97 million contract, too, at the end of camp.
Yeah.
He got 3 picks. I was just saying about Trayvon Diggs' contract because, I think it's crazy they even gave him that contract.
Yeah, bro, he doesn't deserve that damn contract. He's there at the right time for the INTs.
He's just risky, man, and he gives up a lot of yards. Dude, he gave up over 1,000 yards.
I'd rather have a Sauce Gardner than a Trayvon Diggs.
Damn right, all day long.
Heck yeah, all day.
But we'll wait for Jeff to unfreeze, and then we'll go on to a different topic. All right, pick a different topic, Jeff.
Okay. All right.
So we already talked about that, Jacoby Myers. I'm going to delete that shit.
Why don't we, Sergio? Why don't you talk about what you believe to be defensive end Max Crosby's transcendence? Obviously,
So like, basically, like speaking sort of Derek Carr a little bit, like we said this a few multiple times. Like me and Dustin's been having a few conversations on this, like. Ever since like the departure of Carr, like obviously Crosby's been like our obvious new face of the franchise, but like it's been getting more and more real to where like it's like whatever Crosby says, everyone follows. Like even with Jimmy G now back and like he's the quarterback, like a lot of people would expect like, okay, like new face of franchise, new quarterback, and everyone's like, nah. Just straight to Max Crosby, like anything Max Crosby says, and it's going on right now. And especially what was really interesting was like when he said like ever since the season ended, like for us in January, he just immediately went back into as if training camp was starting again in January. So he's already like 6 months ahead. He said he's like already 6 months ahead of everyone else. And how he's saying, like how he's speaking about how the team is unfolding and how he's basically been like in connection with everyone, like kind of how with the Josh Jacobs situation, he was like there with Jacobs during that. He's been talking to Adams on like how they should evaluate the locker room. He's been talking to Ziegler and McDaniels,
He said how they were gonna do the running after the practice. Everybody, not just certain
that's
people.
why like it's looking like Crosby's like not just the new face, but like he's now the one that controls the franchise now.
Max Crosby is the true leader of the team.
It's like Max Crosby's like he's now like the Raider.
Yeah, he basically said if there ain't gonna be a debate about it, there's no debate about it. Is basically what he said. And if they don't fall in line, guess who's gonna have the oversight to get that motherfucker off the team? Like literally, he's literally gonna go over there to Graham and be like, "Yeah, this dude's not doing it. He ain't working. Get him out of here. Get somebody else." Like that, I think that's phenomenal because I think when you're looking at a guy like Max, when he can identify that because of his play style with those type of people, I think that's phenomenal to me.
It's gonna make the defense better.
Yeah, so like it's been really great. Like especially like how even though like the NFL doesn't like our team that much, most of the love has been going to Crosby now. Like how like even reports saying like Crosby's been like the biggest steal of the decade, or like how he's the most valuable player of the decade. Because like imagine you're just like a late 4th round pick and then you just become like one of like the best players at your position in football. And then compared to like say like Nick Bosa, who's like in like a top 10 pick, and he gives his result that he's supposed to, but then no one expects Max Crosby to give that exact same result. So especially with that, like even not just like in a leadership of a franchise role, but like it's really looking like if I could like some people say like a hot take, but like Crosby's looking like he's going to like dominate the entire league by himself individually, even if our defense sucks or if it's average. Like this dude
like he's been doing already.
He looks like his goal is like breaking the sack record of our franchise or something.
Yeah, I think so. And I just see him being like, I'm not saying it's Khalil Mack, but the next kind of Khalil Mack for us.
Like I've never seen like a player in my lifetime per se. Like I've never seen like a player like Max Crosby before. Like this dude is like the for real, like just grind it all day until like I just can't stop breathing type of player.
Yeah, he's got a non-stop motor.
I mean, and he said he got in the cage with dudes where he was real fighters, and then he was like, "You can't run in there. Like there ain't nowhere to run. Like you're fucking gotta go." You know. So I think Max is putting himself out there where, like you just said, Sergio, where if he has to defend on his own, he's going to be able to do it at a higher level. And I even said it earlier on, dude, when the training staff, I watched that video on his training program and how he's come up and how his models looked every single year he's come up. When I said he looks like a fucking straight ox, dude, like he's a straight ox, dude. Like he is just massively big, dude, like a bison. Like he has the body, dude, where he's just gonna fucking wreck you.
One more thing that me and Dustin talked about, and this is like on a personal level, and a little bit of a funny thing too, is like I said this to Dustin, and Dustin fully agreed. I think ever since Crosby's like daughter was born, and then they just like they like the birth of his daughter was that loss against Kansas City, and in my opinion, like. There's like a saying when it comes to that, like that it's like it's supposed to be a joke that this comedian said where it's like when his son was born, he'd say like, "Oh, I would die for my child," but then when his daughter was born, he said, "I would kill for this child." Yeah, I feel like Max's motivation now is very like an unreal, unstoppable.
He wants to create a legacy for his daughter,
or like a sports philosophy perspective. But I think right now, like Max is like in that like Godfather mafia mode right now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I can see if everything pans out over the next, say, like 5-10 years, however long he stays in the NFL for, he could be the next like Ben Davidson, John McCusack for the Raiders.
I'm hoping he's our Raider that stays as a Raider for life.
I bet you Peters coming here was a big reason for Max, dude, and Devontae and them. You know what I mean? Like, that's the other thing you got to think of. Like, even at Peters, where his production, I mean, and his production ain't even real that bad. I mean, if you go look at his numbers only playing in 13 games and what he did, his numbers weren't even that bad, even after the ACL. So I don't know where people are coming up. I never really looked into it, but I looked into it the other day, and his numbers are not bad at all. So
I mean,
it's
it's kind of
dropped
like
off
what we
in
said too. If the D line can be as advertised or better, that can help out the corners a lot. Because then that gives them better time to shut down the receivers while the quarterback is getting pressured and trying to figure out like when to throw the ball or like how to get out of the pocket before he throws the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he even had two. What is it? I mean, I think he had. Yeah, he still had one INT last year, and still had like 6 pass deflections. Marcus Peters, which ain't bad in 13 games. So, especially at the age of what 30, I think 29, 30.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, like we've talked at great length about the Marcus Peters situation. Like I said, I mean, I think his best use to this team is as a veteran presence, almost like a coach on the field to a lot of these younger guys. I don't know how high up in the depth chart he's going to make it. Obviously, injury is somewhat of a concern. He was able to play pretty much a full season last year, so it's not.
He played 12 games.
13.
Yeah,
13?
I think he played 13.
Yeah, so 13. I mean, fuck, even better. Hey, salute, Pete.
Salute, Pete.
But he's obviously, this is not, 2015 Defensive Rookie of the Year, Marcus Peters. So, like I said, to me, this is a guy who's, been around the block. There is, as some of you guys have mentioned already, there is the extra, in theory, motivation for him, as a growing up, as an Oakland kid, growing up as a Raiders fan. Maybe that will be extra motivation for him to really, try to find maybe that second gear, try to get as close to his peak form as possible.
Hell, he's already out there jumping routes today.
Yeah, right. So and obviously, and also, as far as the car thing goes as well, I wanted to mention that like you can't draw too many conclusions from training camp, especially this early. It's nice to see good early indications, but just a couple of years ago, Jamar Chase, was having a horrible offseason. Everyone thought the guy was a bust, this, that, and the other thing, and now look at him. So to me, you can't ever like really tell just from training camp, but yeah, it is good to see that Marcus Peters, obviously getting active, playing his part immediately. And as we've also said before, it's only a $5 million deal, so, and it's only 1 year at that. So, this isn't a lot of risk for the Raiders. This is just, and especially now that Jakobi Meyers was able to free up some cap space by restructuring his deal, the deal becomes even, more feasible and less to worry about, really. So this is just sort of, you could argue, either a 1 year prove it deal or, maybe just, like I said, like a 1 year sort of opportunity for him to sort of be like a coach on the field for other guys. And then maybe they go their separate ways come next offseason. But obviously that's something we're going to have to see. But, sky's the limit, right? Because like I said, low risk, which, could mean high reward. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I would also like to say, and this, I don't know if, I'm sure you guys won't view it as a hot take, but, as far as the Max Crosby situation goes, obviously, given that this is a player who, outside of Devontae Adams, is the alpha male in this locker room, is the guy that everyone looks to as a leader, and obviously can back it up with his play on the field. Given that he's been able to take steps forward every single year and get better and better, it seems like, I really think this is the year where, at least for most of the season, if not throughout the season, he should be able to maintain a Defensive Player of the Year candidacy. I don't know if he's going to win it, but, given that guys like Nick Bosa, obviously the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, and Chris Jones, obviously, who showed up big time for the Chiefs in their Super Bowl run just this past year. Given that those two guys are currently holding out and they're not happy with their current contract situations, if they decide to hold out for any amount of time, this could prove to be a big window for a guy like Max Crosby to really seize on an opportunity and really to attain a cornerstone part of a defensive player's career, which is obviously a DePoy award. I mean, the guy's already been a Pro Bowler. He's already been All-Pro. There's outside of obviously leading a team to championship-like success, winning an award like this would obviously be one of the only things that the guy's missing. So, as far as like I said, I mean, taking the next step, I think that next step for Max Crosby, and I definitely think he can do it, is being really in the thick of the defensive player of the year conversation throughout the year. He was definitely in the conversation to begin the year, and then obviously, the likes of Micah Parsons, and then obviously Nick Bosa, those guys really started to take over in their roles. But like I said, if in fact Nick Bosa is not satisfied with the way his contract is as it stands, as well as Chris Jones, those are two guys right there he would think would be in the running.
Forgot both of them are holding out right now.
Right, exactly. So that to me, I don't know if that would be something you'd look for in training case. Like I said, you can't. You want to look for early indications.
Is Bosa in his 5th year?
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the same problem as Jacobs right now. There ain't
Chris
nothing
Jones,
they can do.
He's already under contract, but he wants to be the highest paid defensive lineman, which he's going to have to get paid like $33+ million per year. But I doubt the Chiefs have that type of money unless they want to do wizard magic. And
is Joey on the tag? Is Joey on the tag or the 5th-year option?
Who? Chris Jones?
No, Joey.
I'm looking.
Nick
Joey
Bosa. My bad.
Oh, Nick Bosa.
No, Nick.
Here, let me check.
He becomes a UFA next year.
So he's on the 5th-year option.
I guess. But I mean, whatever it is, obviously he doesn't have the 5th-year
option because
he's on his
5th-year
option. He's getting
paid.
Unless
they decline it, he's 100.
He's getting paid near $17.8 million.
Fucking greedy bastards. Just
right.
You know what I mean? Like it's fucking getting disgusting that we keep talking about these stupid motherfuckers hanging up on money like that. It's just dumb.
Yeah, I'm even more surprised by Chris Jones. He's already getting paid top 8 defensive lineman money, and
he said he's probably not going to sign with the Chiefs, dude, because he wants to be the 2nd highest paid DP in the NFL.
They're probably
and the Chiefs said they're not going to give it to him.
They're probably going to pull a Tyreek Hill and trade him.
Yeah, because they said they're not going to give him the money.
And then watch our rookie defensive lineman that they have ball out. I mean, I freaking hate that.
Yeah, it's the shit. You need both.
So like I said, I mean, with those contract situations being the way they are, with guys at the top of their respective games in Nick Bosa and Chris Jones, like I said, I really think those could be right away 2 guys who might fall out of the running because of their holdouts for an award like that. So obviously, as you point out, Sergio, with the love that Max Crosby, the recognition that he continues to get, which is important. It's one thing to actually do it, but it's another thing for people to recognize it, because that is what wins you awards, right? Is if the media especially recognizes you for what you do on the field. So, like I said, I mean, I don't know if he'll win it. I mean, a lot of times these awards boil down to narratives and who has the better narrative, who's a better story, who, I guess when you account for different factors, who comes out as the best, as the better player. So, maybe he'll finish, first or second. But like I said, I mean, I think if he's able to add a couple more sacks to his sack total this year, which is obviously doable, especially if Tyree Wilson becomes a problem for offenses to deal with. It's going to be that much harder to, just focus on Max Crosby. I think for Max, this really could be a DPOY candidate year. And like I said, I think he has a shot at winning it. I mean, I could double check the odds right now, but I mean, obviously, the first contender that comes to mind for him in that regard is Micah Parsons, who obviously, as we know, the Cowboys like to use him everywhere. He is somewhat of a Swiss Army knife in a lot of ways. So, especially if the Cowboys, are as good or better than they were last year, he has a strong chance at it too. But like I said, I mean, I think that's an appropriate sort of prediction or expectation for Max Crosby, is really being in the thick of the DPOY race throughout the season. Was there anything else anybody wanted to add to the Max Crosby or Marcus Peters situations or topics or anything of that nature?
Nope. Let's move to different topics. Nothing. Do you got something you want to say, Ozzy?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just doing some quick research for something I'll talk on after you guys' topics.
Okay. Okay, so why don't we sort of circle back to the wide receiver position. So Dustin, this is your topic if you wanted to just get us started on the whole Hunter Renfrow situation.
He's in love with Renfrow, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Josh is, with everybody always keep talking about that they're going to trade him, this, that, the other, like I always say, anything's a possibility, but the way Josh talks about it and how he wants to get it, bring him back, be able to have a year with him, healthy, he doesn't imply anything about it. He actually thinks that Hunter's probably going to have a pretty big year, and when you're implying like Myers 800 yards, Adams probably 1,000 plus over, there's a possibility Renfrow can be 600 to 800 yards too. So, like I said, you got to remember we're in 17 games now. So, I mean, it doesn't take much. What was it? What did they say? It takes like 50 some odd yards per game to get to 1,000 yards. So that's all I'm saying. In 17 games, you got a higher ceiling in there. But from what I heard from Josh, it seemed like he likes Hunter and he wants to give him a chance to be able to play this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a prime example, in my opinion, to where where everyone likes to use the Waller example, where yeah, but he said this, and then they ship Waller. Here's the difference with Waller.
Yep.
All he said was Waller's going to be an important factor, and he was. They traded him, and then we got Tua Tagovailoa.
He was an important factor. We got that.
And with Renfrow, though, all he's been saying with Renfrow is how much he loves him, how much he wants to use him in the slot, how much he likes using his slot receivers, how he's fascinated by Renfrow's capabilities. He's just nonstop just talking about Renfrow, as if this dude's the next Julian Edelman.
They could have been saying that, but AR can attest that.
Somebody's got an echo.
I think it's
Cortez.
Did it go to mine?
Yeah.
Might have been to mine because I just.
Oh, okay.
Is it mine?
I think we're good now.
Should be good now. I think it's when you open your door or that.
It's when I turn the truck on and it's switching between the phone and the truck at the time.
Okay, got plugged in. All right. What were you saying? Was Ozzy? Were you?
I was just saying that I've been kind of comparing to Hunter Renfrow to Julian Edelman since Josh McDaniels came over, his role in the offense.
That.
Even I was saying Efficacy Raider can attest to that. I've been saying that pretty much since Josh McDaniels came in, and I said we can trade Renfrow. It's a possibility. When Jacoby came over, because Jacoby's played so much slot receiving, 60% of his snaps has been in the slot at New England.
Right.
But anything's possible up to week 8. If Hunter Renfrow is still here in week 8, then yeah, he's not going anywhere. But anything's still possible. I think he still has to be on the hot seat a little bit and prove himself to Josh McDaniels this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, the most obvious is, can Renfrow get into the system? And McDaniels has said this too, to where the injuries was kind of holding Renfrow back to play at a higher level in his system. So he's he's giving like credit to Renfro. Like, yeah, like he didn't have time to like learn the system, especially since he went through like bad injuries. So the hope is like if Renfro can like have a healthy season, like can he pick up the system a lot better? Because we all saw like just Renfro, like there'll be several games when Renfro's there and he's just completely lost. Like he doesn't know what route he's running, and the infamous
no production, no nothing of those factors.
We all know the infamous like running right into Davante Adams.
And I said there were times where it looked like he didn't even want to be there. Just looked like in his demeanor, like he wasn't having fun running them routes, like he wasn't having no fun in doing it.
Yeah, so it's kind of just a hope that Renfro and McDaniels work together, because we know McDaniels is very strict on his route running, and then we know Renfro, he likes to do his freestyle, like just improvise, like. So hopefully they work out together, figure out a compromise.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Renfro, just like Ozzy's saying, I've been saying the same thing. I think he's going to fit inside Josh's system just damn fine. I think when you're looking to trade him, the money doesn't even match up to trade him. So you're only getting like $6.9 million back. I mean, it put it at $12 million, but I just don't think, unless I'm missing something, and it's the same thing I've been saying the whole entire time is who's replacing him? Like, who's replacing Renfro? I mean, Tucker hasn't even played a game in the NFL. Dorsett, I mean, he's older, but he's more streaker. There's not a guy on the team that's going to replace him unless DJ Turner just took some massive fucking leap in the offseason. He'd be the only guy that would seem more logic to do it, but probably not going to happen. But I'd rather you guys get on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say like right away. So obviously, comparing the Renfro situation to the Waller one is that right off the bat, simply because of Renfro's position and because of the kind of the way in which he plays the position, or the fact that he is a slot receiver, automatically made him, in the eyes of Josh McDaniels, more valuable. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Renfro was part of the reason why McDaniels took this job in the first place. Is because, as Sergio mentioned, you have to think that McDaniels was looking at a guy like Renfro, and a guy who in 2021 caught over 100 balls, and said, this could maybe be the next Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type guy, who's obviously going to be, the heartbeat or one of the core aspects of what I'm trying to do on offense. So I do believe that the Raiders were taking calls throughout the offseason up until several weeks ago, maybe. And like I said, because they valued him as far as how he, meshes with this offense compared to Waller, they viewed his value to be a lot more. And so all those calls, I guess whatever offers they received were not enough. So, whereas Waller, obviously was, super quick. It was a done deal. They worked out a deal with the Giants, almost like that. So, I would say at this point, certainly because, I've heard talks of him also being released. I think that's definitely not going to happen, simply because I think he carries an $18 million cap hit
it's not
over the next 2 years.
That's not even fucking. It's
right.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would not expect that to happen.
He barely even get traded at best, and even if he got traded, it'd be $6.9 million. It's really dying. I mean, there's not really much talk about.
Even the management said themselves, no one's really had any calls.
Exactly, dude. And I mean, and they can be lying about that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He's here and he ain't going anywhere. So let's move to a different topic. I hate even talking about him because it's just speculation. There's nothing to validate anybody's conversation to talk about it. So, Cortez, you here or what?
Cortez, you there?
Just go to Ozzy's topic. Go to this one for now.
Which topic's that? Sorry.
Players to look out for.
Yeah, we've already pretty much said. Yeah, but why don't we just?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, go for
That's
that
the one we started with.
Training camp battles. That's kind of the same thing.
What was your other topic? I got the other topic. I think I deleted that one on accident, thinking it was that bottom one. What was your second topic?
I was gonna talk on like the identity of the team. Like,
all right, bring it. All right, talk on it.
I was kind of doing a little bit of research now, but that's right. I think I got enough to really kind of talk the point a little bit. I feel like under Josh McDaniels, because people are so used to like us being a rush first team under Gruden, I think that's going to change under McDaniels. I think it's either going to go one or two ways. It's either going to be more balanced or it's going to be more of a passing team. Because, I mean, I'm just looking at some of the numbers from last year, like right now, through teamranking.com, because I do a good breakdown of the offense, defense, and all that, like all the different statistics. So just going off of like rush play percentage was at like 40.80 or like 40.8, whereas passing play percentage was at like 59.20. So like
who was that?
So we were ranked like 19th in rushing play percentage and 14th in passing play percentage. And our rushing play percentage was 40.8% or 40.80, sorry. And our passing play percentage was 59.20 out of 100%. So obviously Josh McDaniels scored way more passing plays than rushing plays, basically. And then on top of that, we had the 13th best pass attempt per game, which was actually tied with our whereas our rushing attempt per game was higher, though, which is kind of weird when you think about it. But that's why you've got to kind of go off the play calling instead. So in other words, even though we ran the ball less than we passed, we were pretty effective when we ran it.
What is can you look up what Josh's percentage in run versus pass through his career?
I'd have to look that somewhere else because I'm just going off of last year, like just the Raiders team, like team stats. But I'll probably have to go somewhere else to look that one up. But this is just going off the Raiders team stats since Josh McDaniels came in, basically. I mean, they do have like the last...
he's basically like 60-40.
Yeah, it's almost 60-40. 60% pass, 40% rush. As far as play calling goes. And then also I noticed that I was about to look it up, so I might as well look it up now. I was just about to look it up. I was going to look up, okay, how many times was a quarterback sacked per game kind of thing? We were 8th. As in, like, the least sacked, like, top 8. And people are, like, saying, like, the O-line's bad and this and that. No, they're not. We're ranked 8th in the sacks that we allow per game. Average. Right? So...
But some of them were Carr's fault because he just running up into the line and getting tackled
exactly.
Anyway.
We could have been top 5 if not for that, possibly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just feel like when people and it goes shout out to Lunatic because Lunatic kind of made a good point on this when he was talking about like comparing Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo on his last show about system fit. I feel with Jimmy being in the system is provided he's 100% healthy and all of that, our O-line either stays the same or improves from where it was last year from the word go, because they kind of started off slow, but then they gelled during the season, right? So as long as the O-line starts from where picks up from where they left off or gets better, and Jimmy G is 100% healthy, I feel like we could even see like a possibility of like a 63-65% passing to running attack, but the running attack will be just as effective because when we run it, we're going to be more effective with like the similar or less attempts running it because teams are going to be having to play us more for the pass. That makes sense. But when I say pass, I don't necessarily mean like an air raid offense. I mean the sense in that it's going to be like short to intermediate passing.
Yeah, basically like especially when it comes to the running
backs. Yeah,
especially when it comes to the running is going to be a lot more different because one of Ziegler's biggest reasons he also brought Tucker was how how a lot of us kept complaining like why is Adams like doing a sweep or like why are we having like doing the screen passes. So like they're trying to bring in more speedsters so the run game can get more confusing against defenses.
Yes.
Like they can just do more
like
sweeps with
Debo
Tucker
or if
or
Niners do.
Carter, and then they can just do the screens that can just help us out a
Yeah.
lot. So it's really like it's kind of like one of the biggest reasons why they got these players and why they drafted players like Tucker.
Yeah, I agree. Because Tucker's one of the guys you can give it to him on a short slant or run a jet sweep or something like that. He can take it to the house, given the opportunity. And then not
Yeah.
only that, like you guys are just saying on Renfro, as we know, Josh McDaniels likes to utilize tight ends and slot receivers, which is like, generally short to intermediate passing range, which is something that Jimmy G excels at. Is, George Kittle was his best friend, so to speak. He also likes guys like Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, like throwing out to them like the short to intermediate, inside the numbers or whatever. So, like, yeah, that's why I'm saying, even though if you're comparing quarterback to quarterback rankings, then yeah, you can say Jimmy G is worse. But in this system, Jimmy G could be better because of the way he plays at quarterback, because of his style of quarterbacking, and because of, like, Lunatic said last night, or this morning, whatever it was for you guys, Jimmy G was drafted by New England to fit that system. Derek Carr wasn't.
That's fact.
Right.
So we're saying that if even under Carr will pass him 59% of the time with Carr, I could easily see that going 61, 62 with Jimmy. And I could see us having a top 7 to 10 passing offense easily.
I mean, look, Jimmy got a dot.
Cooper,
Jimmy got a dot and can throw off to that dump off route for the halfback, dude. Like,
exactly, and that's
he
something
has a little
Brady
drop
did for
off in
years.
there.
They won him Super Bowls doing that.
And
shit.
he's got a great arm attitude. Like, I watched him in the drill today on the cam, and like you can see, like, when he'll be set back and just turn dude, like right on dude. And
not only that, but something that like I learned was that when it comes to basically improvising or throwing to his non-first read wide receivers, like when the first read doesn't work, you go to the second or third receiver. Jimmy was technically rated as like one of the best to do it. Like his passer rating was like in like the 120s, and he had like I think he had maybe like the 12th, like top 12 most touchdowns when it came to like non-first read touchdowns.
And he had a lot of red zone touchdowns too.
Yeah, and his completion percentage was like in the 70s.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a better quarterback than Carr.
Even if like the play isn't working, like Jimmy knows how to improvise in a passing perspective.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily saying Jimmy's better overall as a quarterback if you were to rank quarterbacks or anything like that. But as far as system fit goes, and as far as like short to intermediate passing, like anything like 20 yards and under, he's gonna excel.
Dude, I got video on my story right now that'll prove he can throw downfield just fine.
He can throw downfield.
Not only that, he can throw downfield 40+ yards and dot a dude right on the in a fucking window this big.
He's done it at the 49ers, but I'm just saying.
Dude, I mean, I have a deal on the story right now with him on there doing it. Play over play. I mean, Jimmy has got a lot of. The thing about Jimmy is, man, he'll make some dangerous passes, dude, where there's 2-3 dudes around him, but he'll dot it right on his player. He did that shit with Kettle numerous times, getting across the field where dudes were right on top, and then he just break them split and then take off, dude. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I just put a link.
Hey, he liked to do a lot. He was very risky with Deebo Samuel a lot.
Yeah.
Looking for stuff. Yeah, I'll just put it in the private chat. There's like a team. Yeah, that's the website I use. It's actually really good.
It makes me very excited to see how the interaction we can get with the Niners, especially as the first preseason game. Maybe with like Jimmy and Kyle Shanahan, McDaniels can probably get more info on like how to like better run. I'm not saying like he's poorly at running an offense, but maybe like figure out how to like blend with Jimmy and like make like add Kyle Shanahan style to his offense.
That'd be fire. He brought that up too.
Yeah, just to make an interesting point, like with the whole offensive side of the ball, we were tied 17th in third down conversions last year. So despite having like the higher passing percentage and everything, that's the one area where I feel like we can tidy up is like third down conversions.
Hmm.
And that's because of all the 3-and-outs on offense last year.
Which is weird because we were ranked as one of the best in the least 3-and-outs or like turnover ratings.
Basically, if you look at our passing yards and then our rushing yards and all that, we'll pretty much like say a top 11 to 13 passing offense and a top like 10 to 13 rushing offense. Like we're pretty balanced. It was just the third down conversions that killed us.
The offense was just so weird. Like it just looks bad, but then the numbers look good, and now you're just confused.
Yeah, if it's ranked as the 25th, the power rankings have us ranked 25th right now.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I believe that for a second. But the thing is, like, the thing that gets us with that on offense is, like I said, it's the third down conversions. It's not converting on third downs because that just kills drives and stuff. So yeah, that and the fact that our O-line was probably gelling early in the year because they got way better by mid-season.
My woman's calling. I gotta answer.
No worries, bro.
Word.
Yeah, so I was just saying, like, yeah, if we can tie up third down conversions, which I think we will have now that we have like more consistency in the tight end room and stuff, because I feel like not having Waller out there really hurt the team, Renfrew as well, because they were the guys who'd go to on third down a lot.
I mean, not only that, but like when it came to the tight ends, like if like
we had fucking
if Waller ain't healthy, then we got Foster, but Foster would keep dropping the passes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Waller's healthy, Foster ain't healthy, and Waller starts dropping the passes, or he just struggles at blocking.
It's just a crazy season. It was just a weird season because we could have easily been like 12-5 last year. Like we really could have. If you really look at how we lost some of those games, it was just crazy. Like 20 points up on the Cardinals.
To me, I just hated it. I just hated how injured our team got.
Yeah, it was injuries, and there was the injuries, and then there was like on top of like no offense to anyone, but on top of quarterback play, on top of like O-line's been like musical chair at O-line's, like it was just so many variables.
Yeah, way too many UDFAs starting.
Way too many UDFAs starting. Yeah, that's another thing. Linebacking core is weak as fuck.
And then that sucks because then the fan base takes like their anger out on them. And like they say they suck. And I'm like, well, they're a UDFA. What do you expect them to do?
Yeah, it's like, dude, give the kid a chance.
Like their expectation wasn't to be a starter right away.
I mean, I think Masterson, for the fact that we got him for a UDFA, like did crazy good for his first year as a UDFA. I didn't expect
he was
that
pretty
much
good. I think he should work on the coverage a little bit, but other than that, he was really good at like the run stopping and cleaning up the plays.
The one I want to see more out of though was Darren Butler. I have high hopes for that kid.
Yeah, Butler was kind of a disappointment, especially when like how all the turnovers went to him. But he either forgot that he's supposed to jump on the fumbled ball, or he just drops the ball.
And the thing is, out of him and Masterson, he should have been the better cover linebacker if you look at what he did at Arizona.
Especially since the linebacker coach is his coach.
Yeah, that too. But I'm just saying, like, if you look at Butler's numbers at Arizona, he had like 3 picks in Arizona.
Yeah.
So he was like a kind of like a middle cover linebacker in Arizona. Where more than
I really thought like Butler was going to be like an underrated pickup. Turned out it was Masterson.
Yeah, it turns out it was Masterson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Charles. I mean, Waller to me, he's just an oversized receiver.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's not a true tight end like Mayo, which is why I'm happy with.
Of course, ever since he left our team, now like everyone is like, oh yeah, he's like close to being he's like a top 5 tight end, and I'm like, you guys say he wasn't even top 10 like last year. Now all of a sudden he is.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, he did shit before coming to the Rays. Like he was on a practice squad for Christ's sake. And then the only reason he was so like good those years is because we didn't have a wide receiver one those years. Basically.
I mean, basically just force feed like the biggest guy out there the ball.
Yeah, because if I look at his numbers right now, right, let's like go back to like Baltimore, right? Because we picked him up in 2018 at the age of 26. So before that, he did jack shit at Baltimore. Like he started 1 game in 2015 and 3 in 2016. And his total yards was like 18 in 15 and 85 in 16. Then even his first year in Oakland only had 75 yards and started started 0 games, but was active for 4. So it wasn't even started. It was like playing like a rotational thing. Got 75 yards on 6 catches.
Yeah, Charles, you won't believe how many of our people in our fan base are freaking hating on the undrafted rookies that we had last year. How many people want to kill Sam Webb for losing us the game? And I'm like, that okay. Yeah, he technically lost us the game, but at the same time, why would you have a UDFA be by himself?
Scored more fucking points in that game than we wouldn't have lost. Like, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Not only that, but there's like the one time where like I'm yelling at Graham, like, why would you have a UDFA be by himself?
Yeah, that was the one. That one was a little, but it's not really Graham's fault if that's all he's got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that's another thing I say too. Else. Like the stuff Graham had to deal with, just a bunch of UDFAs starting.
That's why I wasn't too tough on Graham last year, like a lot of other people are. I want to give him at least this season, but get more of his own guys in there. But yeah, like I was saying, so the only 2 good seasons that Waller had was 19 and 20. When we like Ruggs wasn't here in 19, and he was only just getting established, like drafted in 2020. Outside of that, he's never cracked over 1,000. He's never had more than 9 touchdowns in the season, so it's definitely not top 5 tight end numbers to me. I mean, Mark Andrews is better than fucking Waller.
And I mean, in order to be a top 5 tight end too, you got to know how to block.
That too. But yeah, Kelsey, Kittle, and Mark Andrews are definitely better, just off the top of my head, than Waller.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you know, like I said, I mean, whatever you think about Waller, like, so I personally still believe that there was a personal thing that went on with the whole wedding and the, you know, I don't know if he was upset they didn't get invited, but there was some sort of spat between the two, and that accelerated. Because honestly, right, like Waller was being treated just like Renfrow was. Where like there were rumors that they were shopping him. There were rumors they were shopping him. They didn't get it done. You know, yada yada yada. He was injured just like Renfrow. Like pretty much the two, you know, last year were pretty much he and Renfrow were carbon copies of one another.
Yeah.
As far as their impact on the team, just because they were injured. You know, there are rumors of them getting shopped. Obviously, it hasn't happened with Renfrow, and it didn't look like it was happening with Waller either. And then this whole, you know, thing about the wedding and not being invited, and Waller getting pissed that McDaniels like leaked some information about it because Waller and Kelsey Plum wanted to keep it private. So, to me, there was, you know. Because the deal that was actually made happened like that. Like it was just, he's going to, you know, he's going to the Giants. Like that's it. So to me, it was just like.
I think what happened is, so I was just like agreeing with everything you're saying, but then also saying like, yeah, I think once Waller maybe like to put it in layman's terms, he backtalked McDaniels. He's like, you're right, you want to backtalk me? Fuck you, you're going to the Giants. See you later. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to, because he's got to establish himself. Like I'm the motherfucking head coach. You're the player. Like you know what I mean? So if you don't want to play ball, you don't want to play for the team. Whatever you want to be a cancer in the locker room. Whatever. See you later. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So, you know, and honestly, I would have expected them to get a greater return out of Waller.
I slightly disagree there. Just because, like, I feel like a top 100 pick is still, like, really valuable. Still top 100. And not only that, I mean, if it was a healthy Waller and all that, then, yeah, I could expect a bit more. But the fact that we got a top 100 pick, which is, like, top, if I'm not mistaken, that's, like, still at the top end of the 3rd round. He getting that for an injured player is still pretty good. And then there's some people out there that say, like, we didn't we didn't use the pick well or whatever. I disagree on, not saying you said that, but other people have said that. I disagree on that point too. In that Trey Tucker is actually something we need on this team. We need that guy that can take the top off. That's something we've been missing since the Ruggs accident. It showed in 21 and it showed in 22, like at the tail end of 21 when he wasn't there, and also in the 2022 season. Not having that speed guy to take the top off, it puts more pressure on Adams. It puts more pressure on whoever's playing slot. It puts more pressure on whoever's playing tight end one. Like having this guy that can take the top off pulls the safety away, if you get what I'm saying. Because they have to cover deep. They know there's a guy that can torch you. So not having that, even just that player being on the field and not doing nothing, being a decoy, is valuable. So not having Ruggs is that really hurt the team speed wise. So getting a guy like Tucker is like the perfect replacement for that, I think. And not only that, he has value in special teams as well. So even if you want to ease him into offense slowly, you can just put him on special teams where you ease him into the offense. So I feel like we did really well with the Waller trade. The fact that we even got a third round pick for an injured player is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean it's debatable.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, and honestly, like to me, the problem with it to me was that if it was personal, which it did seem to be, Ziegler didn't do enough due diligence to be. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm done with this motherfucker. Like he's out of here. Find something. That doesn't mean the first team that called, because it seemed like the first team that gave him an offer was the Giants, and they took it. Like they took the first train out of Wallerland, if you will. But
I don't know. It's hard to say because we're not buying post orders for them, but
yeah, I mean, because the question becomes, why does it seem like they've been taking all these calls for Renfrow and none have come to fruition? Like why has Renfrow theoretically been on the trading block for months now?
I feel like Renfrow, one is kind of a little bit of speculation because I don't know for sure if he's on the trade block or not. But I think Renfrow has more value than Waller, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could argue that definitely when it comes to the McDaniel system.
Yeah, the McDaniel system. I think they're higher on Renfrow than what they would be on Waller. They probably think, we can replace Waller more easily than we can replace a Renfrow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's pretty much what they did anyway with Hooper and Mayo and that. So even Howard, right. I mean, Howard's solid if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, OJ Howard, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut, but
I wouldn't be surprised. It depends how healthy
yeah, I mean, OJ Howard is, he's not what he used to be. He's pretty washed. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I would just say that, yeah, when you think about not only who they drafted with the pick they got from Waller, but the tight ends that they used they got to replace Waller, you can definitely see how the team, McDaniels wanted to move in a different direction as far as the kind of personnel he wants on his offense, because obviously, as I think Charles mentioned a little earlier ago, and thank you for the comment, Charles. But yeah, it's like the tight ends. I think McDaniels wants to be integrated into the run game. He wants them to have a more meaningful impact, part of the scheme, if you will, as far as being those extra kind of blockers. Obviously, McDaniels has used a lot of 2 tight end systems as well, so there's a heavy emphasis on that, and especially if you're coming right off, the line, as opposed to being split out wide.
What happened with Dustin?
He had to take a phone call, I think so.
I'm about to.
But Cortez, since we haven't heard from you in a while, do you want to give your 2 cents on the identity of the team, or?
Oh no! I want to go to my Zeus topic.
Oh, okay, yeah. Why don't we talk about that?
Before I gotta go in a minute. I got shit that I gotta handle. I gotta go to court tomorrow, courthouse.
Oh, word. All right, yeah. So real quick, why don't you just get it started on if you feel that Zamir White will have over or under 80 carries in 2020? Over.
Yep. Because Ziegler said 70, I'd say more than 70 carries, because they're not gonna run Josh Jacobs to the ground like they did last year. I just feel like it's gonna be over. I don't know what you guys feel like.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting topic, not just as far as it pertains to Zamir White, but when you sort of unpack it relative to the rest of the running back room, which obviously, as we were talking about earlier, that's going to be an important part of of this offense, right? Like how productive can the running game be, especially in the absence of Josh Jacobs. So, if we're talking, so let's just say he has exactly 80 carries. If he's going to have the same efficiency that he had last year, which was a yards per carry of 4.1, you're talking, 320 something yards. So that obviously is nowhere near, especially if he's going to be the bell cow, what the Raiders are looking for. So obviously, as far as that goes, it's not just as simple as being able to apply the past, last year's yards per carry to this year's, because there's so much that goes into it. But obviously, if you end at a total of 320 yards, that could definitely be a good supplemental sort of boost to the run game, I would say, because to me, I'm looking not necessarily at how much one player gets, even if that one player gets the lion's share of the carries, but what the run game looks like as a whole, right? Because that I think really can make the difference in terms of winning and losing games. So, if we're talking, 4 yards a carry, even if he's like a 1,000-yard rusher, let's say, that would take 250 carries.
Cortez, mute your mic, man.
Oh, my bad.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I mean, in the past, obviously we have seen McDaniel's teams who have spread shared the wealth a little bit more. Been way more equitable than what we saw last year, where Josh Jacobs, obviously 1,600 yards, and pretty much everyone else combined had next to nothing. So, so like, for example, like I believe in 2009, his first year with the Broncos, obviously the bell cow was Knowshon Moreno. He had, I believe, something like 975 yards, somewhere around there, and then Carell Buckhalter, right behind him, had around 600 yards. So, in total, obviously, that's pretty much around what Josh Jacobs got by himself last year. But at the end of the day, it still totals out to around the same rush total. But the reason I bring up that specific example is, that maybe is sort of more of the proportions that I think we'd like to see. Obviously, you'd like more guys to have meaningful carries and a meaningful amount of rush yards to round out the running game and the and the running back room. But salute out goes for coming back in. But like I said, if Zamir White's only going to get this amount of carries, or even if it's only a little bit over 80, you want the efficiency to be better, because if 300 something yards is like okay, but really, even if you want him to be like a secondary kind of a back, an auxiliary kind of a run option, you're probably looking at like somewhere between like 450, 600 yards. So, you definitely.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah. What's up?
No, so like I just wanted to touch real quick on the Zamir White situation. First of all, good luck to Cortez and court tomorrow. I know he's fighting a case.
Facts.
No, I think for me, I think we're really quick to like write off young players, right? And I understand that Zamir White doesn't have the best vision, or didn't display the best vision last year, and I think he has a lot of room to grow in that respect. But the guy is fast as hell. He ran, like a 4.40, which is really, really fast for a running back, just really fast overall. He obviously played for a really good college program. So I think there's a lot of upside there. So I wouldn't be shocked if Zamir White emerges as probably the top back out of the camp. I think it takes time for all players, but especially running backs, to learn a scheme, learn a complicated offense, especially McDaniels' offense, which is very, very complicated. So I just think, I'm actually holding out hope for Zamir White to emerge as, a top back, to be honest with you.
Hey, Zamir White's my favorite running back on the team right now. Go Team Zeus.
Yeah, so I believe in him, Cortese. Like, and by the way, I don't know if you were on mute, but good luck on your case, dude. I think it's really important to just hold out hope for these young players. And I don't want to be quick to write off a player who just, he just played one season for us, hardly played. He only got a handful of touches, so I think there's a
Right.
lot of room.
We ourselves. Oh, while we're waiting for Al to get back, I'll just piggyback off what he was saying and what you were saying earlier is that I could see a scenario where they could drop.
And I know it's
oh, sorry, go
ironic
ahead.
because usually I'm the guy who's a little bit more negative, but I'm pretty positive on Zeus.
We missed part of what you said. I think you cut out for a minute, Al.
Oh, sorry. Could you guys hear me?
You can hear you now.
Yeah,
though,
we got it. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I think I was switching from Wi-Fi to from my data plan. No, I was just saying I think I'm usually one of the negative guys. Usually somewhat pessimistic on the outlook of our team and certain players, but I'm actually pretty positive on Zamir White. I think he was a young player. I think he only got a handful of snaps last year, so there's a lot of room for him to grow and develop.
Yeah, just piggybacking off what you guys were saying is that, and what Jeff was saying earlier, is that I could see a situation where if JJ signs a tag plays, he could drop to like, say, 250 touches for the season and still get it around like, say, close to 1,200 yards or like 11, let's just say argument's sake, like what you got with Gruden, 1150. Then you add Zeus on top of that, he gets around 378 if he does 90 carries at 4.2. So that's about 378, almost 400 yards. And I think that brings up to around that 1,600 mark, similar to what Jay got by himself. If that makes sense, on the same amount of touches. So I think that's possible, but I think the touchdowns might go up just because you've got two different kinds of backs, and then Zeus' speed might get more touchdowns, like in the red zone or like 20-yard line, stuff like that, where you can just if he can work on his vision and hit a hole, and then he's off to the races, kind of thing, like he did at Georgia. So if we can do that, yeah, the yardage might stay around the same, like 1628, 1650. But maybe instead of only having like 12 rushing touchdowns, we have like, 15 to 20 rushing touchdowns instead between the two. It's kind of similar to what happened at New England when they ran two backs. You'd have one back that will have like most of the yardage and most of the touchdowns, like, 12 to 15 touchdowns, and the other guy has like 5 or 6. And like, 400, 500 yards.
All right, guys, I'm about to go. I'll catch you guys on Friday. Hey, one more thing, Al. There will not be no Dark Owl's Go show tomorrow. No show tomorrow.
Word.
I'll come.
Just don't. I got heck of stuff that I gotta handle tomorrow.
Oh yeah. No worries.
All right, bro.
Yeah, good luck on everything, man. Hope it all works out.
Good luck on the case, dude. Don't worry about it. It'll be
Yep.
all right.
All right, bro. Yep.
Peace.
All right, late.
All right, peace out, man.
And I agree with what Charles said. Like, when JJ does come back, they're not going to baby him. One man doesn't make the team. I agree with that statement. As much as I like JJ, at the end of the day, it's like no one player makes the whole franchise. So, if JJ plays, he doesn't play. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Hopefully he does. Because I still love JJ to be the lead back, you know what I mean? But just don't be surprised if he comes back and it's still like technically RB1. Just don't be surprised if his carry count drops. I won't be. Because they've got to work these rookie backs in. They have to work these rookie backs in at some point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's sort of the frustrating thing, right? Is I mean, when it comes to Zamir White last year, I mean, one way of looking at things, if you just look at the stats, is that it's such a small sample size, they didn't really give him enough of a look to really see what he's made of. But at the same time, when you recall those games, at least as far as what I remember from those games is that there were moments where they tried to get him going. They tried to see if you could find some daylight, and it never really came to fruition to the point where I think they just decided to like effectively shut him down for the year. So, that's one of those things where like, I mean, maybe over time, law of averages would say that, he would start to find some daylight. Maybe he would start clicking talent-wise. he'd be able to start finding holes and whatever and trust the system. But and another wild card, I believe Al's Ghost mentioned this, was is Britton Brown, right? Because
Yeah, Britton Brown pretty good
for me,
preseason.
What's up?
Oh, I said Britton Brown looked pretty good last preseason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, why I think he's an X factor, a wild card, you want to call him, is that I really remember watching his highlights from college right as the Raiders drafted him, and I really liked what I saw. Like I really saw. I mean, obviously, it's Pac-12 football. Maybe not exactly. It's a Power 5 conference, but maybe not exactly the best conference, especially at that time. But like I said, I like what I saw in the film. So the fact that he was essentially a healthy scratch all of last year, it was frustrating for me because you wanted to see what these other guys can do. On top of that, what's interesting is that, especially given the fact that obviously contract talks broke down between Josh Jacobs and the Raiders front office, I would have thought that they would have tried to sabotage him a lot more. In other words, purposely give him fewer carries so that obviously the production wouldn't be there, so that when it came back to coming back to the table to negotiate, the Raiders would have more leverage because they could just obviously show him his own numbers and say, well, we don't feel confident in signing you to a big deal. But that wasn't the case, obviously. Obviously, Josh Jacobs, in his mind, and I do agree with him. I hate to say it. It really did seem like he was the hero last year. Like he kind of, when the team started to retool its offense in terms of him and really make him the feature, it really started to get going, and they started to, be a lot more productive. So, it's interesting because you would have thought, like I said, in line with that whole idea to sabotage him so that these cheaper backs were on their rookie deals would, start to, take over really. You would have thought they would have gotten more volume last year, but obviously that wasn't the case. So,
sorry to cut you off. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted, before I forget, what I was going to say. Just going off what you're saying, is I feel like they're going to do that this year, because I was just thinking about it and looking at how Josh McDaniels did things in New England before he came over. They tend to also redshirt their players a lot, like their draftees. They tend to redshirt them the first year a lot. So I feel like that's maybe why that didn't happen yet. What you were saying with sabotaging Josh, so to speak. But I feel like this I wouldn't call it sabotaging, but this year I feel like his carries is going to drop way down from 340 to 250, 270. Somewhere like that, especially with Ziegler literally saying out of his own mouth that so he's getting at least 70 carries this year, so that puts him at 270 already. So sorry,
right, I mean, this is the thing, right? So if McDaniels is truly on somewhat of a hot seat, if he's really under pressure to produce some kind of results, at least on offense this year, he may very well, if Josh Jacobs obviously becomes available at some point, which at this point seems to be a big if, if Josh Jacobs obviously is a guy who can come in and really make that much of a difference, then we might very well see a very similar sort of carry differential, or sort of a kind of a season last year where Josh Jacobs got the lion's share of the carries. We may very well see something like that, but that's sort of the thing, right? If they can sustain a run game without him, then I mean, sabotaging him as far as taking carries away from him, that would be great, right? Because then obviously, like I said, it sort of weakens Josh Jacobs' position. It gives him less leverage. It prevents him from saying I have to be the hero. Because obviously, a guy like that coming off a year like that, especially if he gets the feeling that he's going to have to come back and do that again, which obviously is something he's expressed, then he'd like to be compensated adequately, at least as far as the security of a long-term contract. Now, obviously, we don't exactly know what kind of figure he's looking for or what the Raiders would be willing to offer him, but that's the thing, right? I mean, this sort of also reminds me of what I was saying about how the Raiders should approach this draft. Going into the draft this year, because Bijan Robinson, for example, was projected to be around a top 10 pick. The Raiders had the number 7 overall pick, and not everyone agreed with me, but had they decided to use their 7th overall pick on a guy like Bijan Robinson, the whole Josh Jacobs thing to me is just completely moot. I mean, they could have traded him for whatever. They could have released him if they wanted to at this point. And certainly when you look at, what the Giants have just recently done with, signing James Robinson to a 1-year deal, that seems to me to clearly have sent a message to Saquon Barkley by saying, like, okay, like, you may very well not be needed with James Robinson now in play. So, to me, that is the biggest point, right? Like, how big of a talent gap is there between Josh Jacobs and the next man up, or all of the sum of everyone else together? Because obviously they didn't prioritize running back this year in the draft. So yeah, I mean, that it's still a big question mark, and we have to see how they piece it together. But I mean, and you look back at a very interesting year for me is the 2021 Patriots, because that's obviously the most recent year in which Josh McDaniels had personnel to his liking and had his kind of guys. They finished top 8. They finished 8th in the league in both attempts and rush yards. And meanwhile, they only finished 26th in pass attempts. So
that could be because they had Mac Jones, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you think about it, like, you look at the numbers down the line in that year. Obviously, leading rusher is Damien Harris with 921.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the Russian attack. They definitely did a more of a committee between those two.
Right, exactly, and yeah. Right, and you think about right. That is a good point. That Mac accounted for 129 of those yards, which obviously, if we're talking about quarterbacks running, we're probably not going to see that from Jimmy Garoppolo. So that could be an issue right then and there, just as far as the run game from a statistical standpoint. But certainly what you saw, even Mac Jones notwithstanding, you look at the rest of these numbers. There's still a pretty good amount of spreading the wealth. I mean, you had Damien Harris only had 929 yards. Ramondre Stevenson was a healthy change of pace back at 606. Brandon Bolden, who obviously is on this team here, and who obviously he had a really good efficiency as far as yards per carry at 5.1. He totaled out at 226 yards. And for that matter, you had a bunch of wide receivers on that roster contributing to the run game. I mean, you had Kendrick Bourne with 125 rush yards. So, I mean, to me, I look at that and I say, not only you have to have at least 2 to 3 backs who can contribute to carve out sort of the same kind of production that Josh Jacobs brought to the table, but maybe you can incorporate some of these wide receivers into the run game, as far as like wide receiver reverses, things of that wide receiver, maybe wide receiver screens behind the back, behind the line of scrimmage, things of that nature. So, to me, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to make a quick comment regarding Josh Jacobs. And I think Ozzy was on the live when I made this same comment last night, but maybe I'm missing something. But, an argument for paying Josh Jacobs that proponents of Josh Jacobs say is, hey, we got to pay this guy because he earned the money. Well, number one, he already got paid for the games that he played. It's my understanding that he didn't do it pro bono. He actually got paid and the paychecks cleared, number one.
Right.
And then number two, the guy is going to get paid north of $10 million for the upcoming season. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I'd be willing to suit up for 3.5 months for a fraction of that price, for a fraction of that fee.
Right.
And I understand I'm not a professional athlete, and I don't think anyone on this panel is a professional athlete. But I think on some level we have to call out, and I'm just going to say it, we have to call out a certain level of greediness that these professional athletes have.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, and on some level, it actually really bothers me. It actually really, really bothers me.
I'm not talking about just JJ with that. I'm talking about the NFL as a whole is way overpaid, especially quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely, Ozzy. I think it's the amount of money that these guys get paid for a few months of work, and I understand there's OTAs and there's training camps, so it's in effect it's more than a few months of work, but the season itself goes from September to effectively mid-December, late December, and if you're lucky, you go into January, and there's only 2 teams that play in February. It's a very, very short season, and
right.
Just to put things in a little bit of perspective, I mean, I know it's not the same sport.
That this greediness needs to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's quarterbacks. Like, the whole reason why running backs are saying they're underpaid is because quarterbacks are like way overpaid, in my opinion. So that kind of sets the market. But in saying that, though, like just like any sport, you got your off-season training programs, you got your workouts, you got all that. So, which I'm aware of, right? And I know it's a different sport, but I'm just trying to like put things in perspective, okay? Like of why I see things the way I do. We have NFL is obviously, the American Football League, right? Like it's like, it's your country's football, right? Like, it's your own unique style of football. So we have our own unique style of football, and the highest paid player is like 1.35 million. And he's like one of the best in the game, like ever.
Right.
So, and they train in the heat and whatever. Most of our stadiums we have like open stadiums, like so. And we play on one of the biggest ovals in the world. Like, there's no oval bigger than an AFL field. It's about 200 meters long from one end to the other, and it's about 100 meters across or something from one side to the other. Because it's a circular oval. That being said, it's just as physical as NFL. Like with the tackling and the hits and whatnot. Only difference is you can only tackle between the collarbone or just below the collarbone up here to the knees, like just above the knees. But we take hits and damage whatever, just like these guys do. So if you're getting paid $10 million, which is like the 4th highest base salary for your position, I don't see why you're crying about it.
Yeah, and to that point, Ozzy, if these guys are complaining about being underpaid, I wish I was getting underpaid and I had a $10 million contract right in front of me. Like, what kind of argument are you making? I don't know. It's almost like
I get why. It's because the thing is, the owners earn so much money from like merchandising and whatever, like and TV deals, and so I kind of get like that perspective on it. But in my opinion, all the positions are way overpaid, especially quarterbacks. And I feel like the whole problem with the NFL as a whole, like the way the whole salaries are done as a whole, is way overpaid. I feel like a lot more of that money should be going back to like the city where that team is located. Like that's my opinion. There's a lot of that money could be going back to the city, and like in some cases, the more what's the word, impoverished neighborhoods in those cities, rather than going into the pockets of the owners and the players who are already getting so much money already.
I agree. I think on some
that's
level,
how I kind of see it. Especially like when look at like places like Oakland and like the less the less privileged areas, man. Like imagine what they could do with that kind of money. Like if you were putting like every year, because the thing goes up every year, they add money back into those fan bases, neighborhoods that support that team.
So
And
yeah,
this
no,
stuff
I agree, Ozzy. And if I could just get on my soapbox a little bit
yeah,
here.
go for it.
So I just think, so number one, I just want to call out this greediness that I just see across the board. And I don't mean to call out Josh Jacobs specifically. I just think professional athletes in general are completely detached from society. And in terms of the amount of work that, us, let's call ourselves like regular folks, have to work in order to afford basic necessities like gas and groceries and housing. And for these guys to get on a Zoom call on a Saturday, and I'm talking about the running backs here, to organize a Zoom call and complain about how underpaid they are, they're so out of touch with reality, and it's almost like a spit in all of the fans' faces who watch these guys on every Sunday, every Saturday, every Thursday, whenever the games are played, every Monday, who, work hard, spend their hard-earned money on flights, hotels, tickets, etc. Like Mark Davis effectively priced out most of Raider Nation, which is why when we play at home, you have a bunch of visiting teams taking over the stadium. Like, I just think greediness at all levels of the NFL needs to be called out. And I understand everyone wants to get paid. Everyone wants the biggest contract. And I understand that these guys have short careers due to the nature of the work that they do. But no one's forcing. But no one's forcing.
So I just want to add before you go to your next point. Yeah, they might have short careers, but I guarantee in their short career, they make more than most of us were making our fucking lifetime working for like 50 years.
Absolutely. That's facts, Ozzy. And I don't mean to be a hard ass here by saying what I'm going to say right now, but if Josh Jacobs doesn't like his $10 million salary that he's getting offered for this year, you don't have to play football, dude. Like, you don't have to play football. Like, you could decide to do something else with your life. You're probably already set up financially for the rest of your life. Like, you don't have to play if you don't like it. Or if you actually truly feel like you're underappreciated and you're not getting paid enough money because $10 million is not enough for you, then you could quit and you don't have to play. We got to stop catering to these guys as if like they deserve the moon and the stars and the sun and the Milky Way, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they are effectively employees just like you and I. Yes, they have, let's just call it like a different kind of job, but they are employees at the end of the day, and they don't have to. Josh Jacobs does not need to continue playing if he truly feels like he's being underpaid. Find something else to do with your life, dude. You're 25. Sell real estate. I don't know. Become a YouTube content creator. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Jump on DSR, start merchandising your t-shirts or whatever. Like, anyways, I just wanted to get on my soapbox a little bit and just say that, dude, because like I just feel like these guys are just like way out of touch with society, way out of touch as to like what a regular salary is. Like, hey, the average American, I believe, makes $50,000 a year. Like $50,000 a year. Like, dude, you're getting offered over $10 million, and that's still not enough. Like, it's just ridiculous. Anyways,
yeah, I agree with that, Jeff? Charles, because I said the same thing, Charles. I said that's why I said earlier, like, yeah, it's really the owners that kind of as well, because they pocket a lot of the money, and that's why the players want more money. So I kind of get that. And that's why I'm saying there should be like a restriction put on how much the owners can actually pocket from like ticket sales and merchandising and all the rest of it. There should be a percentage-based system that they can only pocket certain percentage, and the rest has to go back either to the stadium and like to lower ticket prices and whatever, then back to the communities that actually support that team. But anyway, that's me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think as fans, we're the ones who get squeezed the most, and we're the ones who are underappreciated, dude. Like, we haven't had a winning product on the field for over 2 decades, and here we are. We're the guys buying the jerseys, buying the tickets, getting on flights, getting the hotel rooms, etc., hitting up Raider Image for the latest gear drop. And, maybe we're the dumb ones.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a lot of ways that money could be used, like making it cheaper to go to the stadium, making it cheap, maybe having deals for less. I mean, like, you know, I don't know how you guys do things over there if you have a welfare system or whatever, but people here on like pension cards or whatever normally get some kind of discount on certain stuff. So you could, like, even our AFL team here, they discount pensioners and that. They give them discounts on tickets, they give them discounts and stuff, because you know they're pensioners or whatever, right? That they don't work anymore or they don't have a job or whatever. So they discount the tickets for such people, making it cheaper and easier for them to get to the game and all that. So they could do stuff like that. They could make it cheaper to get like a hotel deal if you're traveling to see the team in Vegas or whatever. You know, there's a lot of things they could do with that money. Not to mention building, like, you know, helping impoverished schools or hospitals or whatever. Like, there's a ton of shit that money could go to the communities that actually support whatever team you're talking about out of all 32 teams. Like, whatever team it is could help that city and the less fortunate people in that city.
Right. No, I completely agree with that, Ozzy. I'm also just the greediness really gets to me because you're making $10 million a year, and I understand that you want an extended contract. You probably want 3-4 years, maybe 30 million guaranteed, etc.
I can understand the guaranteed money because these players probably have to pay like their own, like, you know, if you get a job or whatever. I don't know how you guys do it here, but in a job here, we have what you call work cover. So if you get injured while doing the job, you have work cover. So I can understand them having some form of work cover, or if they have to pay their own work cover, having that in the guarantees, like the guaranteed money is the work cover kind of thing. So I can understand having some form of guarantees for the job. Like, I get that, but it shouldn't be fully guaranteed. Like, even if I, like my last job, if I got injured, because I'm casual based, not full-time based worker, right? They base like your average earnings, and that's what you get on work cover. Like, they work out what your average earnings is for you percentage wise, and that's what you get as work cover while you're off work injured. So they could work that into that's what the guaranteed money really is. It's the same thing, but they're just working it into guaranteed money. So that guaranteed money you're getting is what's supposed to be used if you do get injured. That's what the guaranteed money is for. You can't, you know, but like, it shouldn't be fully guaranteed because at the same time it's a business. You can't expect it to be a one-sided deal where the businesses want to losing out completely if you get injured. There's got to be an out for them so they can go and get somebody else to replace you if you're injured. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So 3-year deal, 2 years max guaranteed. And this Dustin kind of hit on this yesterday, right? JJ's best option is to sign the tag this year, next year. Why? Because if he does that, it's 10 point whatever this year, and it's 13 next year. So that's 23 million guaranteed in 2 years. That's more than fair at the running back position in the current market. I mean, Saquon just signed for 11.5 a year. So what's 23 divided by 2? It's about 11.5.
It's a ton of money, Ozzy. It's a ton of money. Like, I step back and look at the figures that these guys are making, and just, you know, again, just to go to my earlier point to say, hey, I'm underpaid because I'm getting offered north of $10 million in a tax-free state. Not only that, Ozzy, and not only that, but you're actually going to be more likely than not in a running back by committee system. So you're actually going to get paid more for less work.
Exactly. I was about to say the same fucking thing because, like, last year, yes, he had 340 carries, right? But he's not going to get 340 carries this year, especially if, like Ziegler said out of his own mouth, Zamir White's going to get carries. I won't be surprised if Britton Brown gets some carries too. So I wouldn't be surprised if you drop JJ's carries to like 220 even. You know what I mean? Depending how they want to spread the ball around, because it's like, you've got to look at, I mean, Dustin kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday. We said there was probably roughly 1,200 offensive snaps the whole season. You know what I mean? So there's only so many touches to go around out of 1,200 snaps. Like, obviously that's variable depending how much your defense gets the ball back or whatever. But it's roughly 1,100 to 1,200 snaps a season of offense. If that makes sense. So, like, you know, if you have 1,200 and JJ's having like 340 of that, that's going to definitely change when you bring more weapons in. got more tight ends now, more receivers coming in that need their touches of the ball as well.
Yeah, no, that's facts. Like, if I was gonna get offered $10 million to do less work, I'm signing that bitch like ASAP. I'm signing it yesterday.
I would be surprised if he takes 100 less touches next year and gets like more in 1 year than he's made in 4 years.
I just know karma's a bitch, and greediness has a way of working its way back into your life. And
yeah, and
you either sign the tag or you could lose out.
Because I'm not a hater of Josh. The reason I sound so pissed off is because Josh is my favorite player on the team and the favorite draft pick that we've had in a long ass time. And I'm kind of disappointed because of where he came from, like how his mentality has changed from who he was when we drafted him to who he's acting like at this moment in time.
He left town, Ozzy. He flew out.
Yeah, I know, and that to me is just ridiculous. Like, he probably went to the meeting. I don't know what's going on, but it's not just that. It's just the Twitter trolling as well. It's becoming a bit of a diva.
He's a diva. Yeah, he's a diva. He's a diva.
And
we got to call him out.
Yeah, and I thought Josh was better than that. He definitely was better than that when we drafted him, because he knows what it's like to come from nothing, right? And I just feel like he's lost a bit of his his humility or whatever. Like, I get you wanting to get paid. Like, this is probably his best chance to get paid. I get all that, but at the same time, you got to look at the market value of your position, and like the real like, the realistic points of things, not just, I feel like he's just look at things in the wrong angle. You know what I mean? Yes, you won a rushing title, but how did you win the rushing title? Like, Derrick Henry had an injury; he was out a few games, whereas he most likely probably would have fucking won it again anyway, most likely. Not only that, you weren't as the top back, you didn't even have the most touchdowns, or even the third most touchdowns, I think. Henry had more touchdowns with 13. I know damn sure Jamal Williams, I think his name is, at the Lions had more. He had like 20 or something shit crazy. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple other backs that had more too. So, like, while you might be the leader in yardage, and I think he was second highest in rushing carries, apart from Henry. The fact that you're not the highest in touchdowns as well, like, I feel like teams value points more than anything else. You know what I mean? Points wins games.
And he's not elite. He's not elite, Ozzy. Like, we take a step back, and I'm not trying to hate on Josh.
I wouldn't say he's not elite. I'd just say he's not elite in the sense of like a Kamara or McCaffrey, because I feel like JJ and Henry are like the last two guys of that true power back kind of back. Like, it's a dying breed.
I don't see him as Henry. I don't see him even on the same level as Henry. I think he's not as good
as Henry. He's not poor man's Derrick Henry, if that makes sense.
He's a very impoverished man's Derrick Henry. He also doesn't block on third down. That's why they take him off on third down. And, Jalen Rashad would come in on third down, and Amir Abdullah would come in on third down. Like, he's not a 3-down back. That's just facts. He's acting as if he got 1,600 yards rushing every year since he came into the league. He's been cracking 1,000, but he's not a perennial 1,600-yard back. He had a remarkable season last year, but he got force-fed the ball because everyone was injured. That's what happened. And he wants to get paid off of one season. That's not how it works, dude. If you don't want to get paid, if you feel like you're underpaid, underappreciated, don't play football. That's my point. Don't play football. Find another line of work.
Exactly. And not only that, if you kind of compare like JJ to Derrick Henry's, like, from 2019 onwards, so since JJ entered the league, it's not even close. Derrick,
it's not close
just in like the 4 years Josh has been in the league, Henry has like 58 touchdowns to Josh's 40. That's just touch. And then Henry has like 6,000, almost 7,000 yards, and Josh has less than 5. So in the same amount of time. Yeah, exactly, in the same amount of time in the last 4 years. So I'm not even going off Henry's first 2 years, because in Henry's first 2 years, he was behind DeMarco Murray.
Right.
So he didn't start. Like, Josh started coming straight out the gate, Henry didn't. So you can't really compare 2017 and 2018, because Henry wasn't even starting at that point. He was a backup at that point. He didn't start. He was redshirted 2 years.
That's facts. Hey, dude, I gotta take a call, but I'll be in the chat, dude. Always great chatting with you, Ozzy.
No worries. Yeah, I'm gonna head off too soon once Jeff gets back. I'm not sure what's going on with Jeff. Still waiting for Dustin and Jeff to come back because I can't end the live here, guys. Yeah, and I can't highlight the comment, Charles, because it's Jeff and Dustin's channel. So I'll just read it out. Yeah, he's come a long way from sleeping in his father's car. And I get money will change anyone, but like in all honesty, not to get into too much personal shit, I have way less than what I have now. Not saying I'm rich or nothing like that, but I used to have way less than what I have now. But it ain't gonna. It depends on the person. While money can, it can change your life for sure. It doesn't have to change your personality. That's really a choice, I guess. Because I definitely used to have way less than I have now. I'm not saying I'm rich or nothing now. I'm like, I used to be like really bad off, so to speak, and now I'm like at a good place in life. Got a really high-paying job working in disability, but it's like really good pay and stuff. A lot better than when I used to do like just odd jobs here and there for whatever money I could get. As well as some years where I was actually unemployed looking for work. So now I've actually got a skilled job, so to speak, and it pays pretty good. So, but that just because I got more money now all of a sudden doesn't necessarily have to change the way I view things or the way I see things as a whole. But I do feel like Josh has his mentality has changed. I feel like him and Saquon were talking, and I feel like Saquon's influenced Josh's opinion a little bit. And then he's the first motherfucker to even sign the deal anyway for 11.5. And if Josh signs the tag now, this year and next year, he'll make the same money as Saquon anyway, and it's fully guaranteed. So there's no real point for him to do this because all it's doing at the end of the day, it's going to make it harder for him to get another contract, not easier. And getting 11.5 average, if he signs a tag 2 years in a row, maybe negotiates a third year, that's a fair deal in the current market. Like, we can sit here and say, oh, the owners do this and the owners do that. So if the owners are doing this and that and pocketing this much money and all that, like, and the players want a piece of the pie or whatever, however you want to put it, why doesn't that piece of the motherfucking pie, instead of going to pockets of players who already get paid tens of millions, why doesn't that piece of the pie go back to the communities that actually support the sport? Right? Because at the end of the day, this money comes from people watching on TV, people fucking buying jerseys, people buying tickets and merchandise and whatever the fuck else, right? No matter what team you support, that's where the owners get the money from, is from investors and then also from the fans. So rather than all this extra money that keeps coming back into the sport from new TV deals and shit, why, instead of people's wages having to increase every fucking season or whatever, however often it is, why doesn't some of that money go back into the people that support the sport? Like, I mean, I had a look online at the ticket prices at Allegiant Stadium and I was like, gobsmacked, man. Like, what the fuck? I gotta pay that much if I wanted to come there for a fucking blood nose seat? Like, come on. No wonder there's no black hole anymore at fucking Allegiant Stadium when you're charging that much. How is someone, like, no shade at nobody, but like, I kind of, because I came from less privilege as well, some of these ticket prices is definitely outpricing certain people. And it shouldn't be like that. Like, if you're a supporter of the team, you should be able to afford at least a basic level fucking tickets to go and watch the game. You know what I mean? But so instead of these owners having to pay extra money to players, why isn't there something in the NFL and the rules, whatever, in the way things are run, that forces owners to only be able to pocket a certain percentage of the profits? So instead of them like pocketing like damn near 100% of the profits, or how much of their pocket now, why don't they make the rule that they can only pocket 65% or 60% of the profits, and that the other, say out of the other 40%, let's say hypothetically, the other 40%, you could use 5% or 10% for pay rises to players or whatever, and then the rest goes back to the city that supports the team. Like, it's just crazy. Oh yeah, I agree, Lunatic. I'm not debating like the selling out the tickets. I'm just saying like a lot of those sell out the tickets probably like we keep talking about. It's not Raider fans a lot of the time, and of course it's not going to be Raider fans when where do most of your Raider fans come from, like Oakland and LA, right? So how many of those guys are really going to be like the people that used to go to the game all the time probably can't afford to anymore because the ticket prices are just crazy. And like you said, people are reselling the tickets because they just kind of either they can afford the ticket, but then they can't afford the accommodation or something like that, So they just can't get to the game because the hotel pricing in Vegas might be high. I don't know. Have to look into that one. But it's just crazy how much the price of tickets has skyrocketed for Raiders games since the move to Vegas. And all I'm saying is, rather than all this extra money that comes from TV deals going into the pockets of owners and players, who already get millions of dollars, why doesn't some of that go back to the fan bases that support it in the sense of discounts and lowering ticket prices and lowering the cost of confectionaries or whatever at the stadium, lowering the cost of parking if you have to pay for parking, maybe having free parking for people on like lower wage or concession. Like there's a lot of things you could do with that money. Yeah, it's definitely a hustle. I don't disagree with that. I don't kind of like, man, if you're a dude that has a ticket to a Raider game and say like, there's a team coming in to play us that is popular, whoever that might be, and you can sell your ticket for double the money that you paid for it and help feed your family, I have no problem with that. Like, I don't blame you for doing that. Yeah, that's what I mean. It goes to the salary cap. The TV deal money goes straight to the salary cap. That's my point, though. Why does it automatically go to the salary cap? It shouldn't. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's basically what I'm talking about, is that the money just goes straight to the salary cap. It doesn't go none of that money goes to the fans watching the game. None of that money goes to the fans supporting the team. It just goes straight to the fucking salary cap. And then these players want to have bigger contracts because it's going straight to the salary cap. So I see both sides of the argument, but then I'm saying there's a third party of the argument as a fan, that why doesn't some of that TV deal money go to the actual people watching the game? Because if we don't watch the game, if we don't, like, if there's an empty stadium, how are they going to pay players then? Like, if you think about it logically. I'm not saying that would ever happen, but I'm just saying hypothetically. So why isn't it that the fans are the ones always losing out? I just find it weird, just because a lot of the time here, my team does certain things for people on concession and that, and I just don't see it happening in the NFL. And I feel like they should introduce that. Because there's way more money in the NFL than what there is in the AFL, and yet we managed to find a way to do those things that I'm talking about in AFL, but they don't do it in NFL. It just goes all to the owners and the players. Maybe sometimes they'll do like some outreach programs and that, like Food Bank, which is good. Like, that's a good start, but they could do more. It's just a matter of perspective, I guess. Anyway, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry, man. I was just rambling on while I was waiting for you to come back.
Or yeah, thanks for holding it down. What were you guys talking about?
I was just talking about because I was talking to Lunatic in the chat there. I was saying, like, I have no problem with people reselling their tickets and getting more money if they have to feed their family. I have no issue with that. But what I was talking about is what he said last, which is like the TV deal money goes straight to the salary cap. I'm like, that's kind of my point. The fact that all that money they're making from the TV deal just goes straight to salary cap. Like, none of it goes to like helping the fan bases that pay to watch it on subscription TV, or who fucking paid to go and watch the game or whatever. Like, why doesn't some of that money go back to the fucking people that actually support the sport? That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
What? Because the second you say it goes straight to salary cap, then that automatically means it goes straight to the pocket of the owners. And that's why then players want more money, because it's going straight to the pocket of the owners. So I kind of get it in that sense. But at the same time, like, I've worked in production and whatever, like heaps of different jobs. Just because my business that I'm working for in 1 year might overproduce and make more profit, it doesn't mean my fucking wage goes up.
Right.
So there's that side of it too. But the point I was making is there should be more done for the communities that support the sport. That was my main bottom line point, especially like in like less privileged areas, because there's a lot of like that kind of money can make a big difference in those areas. Like whether it's more better like upgrades to schools, like computers and whatever, or like more food bank drives for people that are having a hard time buying groceries, whatever it might be. Like there should be more programs like that with that kind of money. There's some already done. Like I know the Raiders have done some food bank stuff and that, but they could do more. And not just the Raiders, but all 32 NFL teams.
Right. Yeah. I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, you know, a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, is performative, and a lot of it is, you know, PR stunts and wanting to.
Yeah,
look
it
like
is. It is. It's PR. Yeah, it is PR. Yeah, it is.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, we do have to be realistic about this, not only the sport, but the business
The business
behind
world
the
in
sport
general,
that we're buying into as fans of the NFL, which is, you know, this is an entity that operates in the billions of dollars. So
that's good. Funds for charity, that's good then. At least that's something.
right. And that, you know, that's not nothing, obviously. It's just that, yeah, I mean, it certainly is true that when you think about how powerful the NFL is at this point,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like it's crazy how much money you guys make in sports with NFL. Like I reckon outside of maybe soccer, it's probably the next high, possibly cricket. I'd have to look it up. So I'm still pretty sure soccer is probably like there's crazy contracts in soccer.
yeah, well, I mean, soccer, you know, that's the world sport, right? So
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's hard.
I
If you're talking about one league,
yeah,
like
FIFA or not, yeah, FIFA's crazy.
Like it'd be much
FIFA
more
League.
like if you were to compare the Premier League to like the NFL, like that would be much more of a comparable thing. But yeah, I mean, as far as like one league, like all, you know, the entire universe of the sport at the highest level is within that league. You know, the NFL I would argue is, you know, the most established in the world. You know, it's
it's definitely got one of the most established, and like it's got to be at least top 3, top 5 in like revenue for domestic sports. Because I know AFL's up there, like, and that one we don't get as much, so we're in the top 5. So you guys got to be top 3. But when they're talking about it, it's like talking per capita and stuff as well. Because we've got a way smaller population than you guys.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
got like 26 million for the whole country, where usually guys got like 8 more than that.
Yeah, let's just look it up now. So listed professional sports leagues by revenue. List NFL's number 1, Major League Baseball's number 2, NBA's number 3, Premier League's number 4.
Yeah, so we're probably like
and then
5
5
or 6.
is the NHL. So yeah, I mean, you know, football really is king. Like when you really think about it in terms of
the money's crazy. Like if you look at the contracts of players,
right? Yeah. So you know, yeah, the question does become, you know, at what point does or can the NFL really do more to improve society? And that's, you know, like I said, a lot of it is a lot of PR stuff. You know, that you see the end racism things on the back of their helmets, you know, back of everyone's helmets. That, you know, how much does that do, right? Like that doesn't actually work to end racism. So it's, you know, it's kind of one of these things where, you know, the PR is good to promote the right messages is good, but that only goes so far, right? You want them to take a next step, which they definitely could do. It's just that that's not in their interest.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, but yeah, it's not like they don't have the power to do it; they just choose not to.
Right, exactly. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, you know, and that also sort of goes into, you know, the way at this point in my life, the way that I look at sports leagues is, you know, I don't take too much stock, or I don't try to get too upset in terms of the end results of a lot of these seasons in these leagues. Like for example, like who's crowned champion, who wins MVP over whom, because a lot of that stuff, quite frankly, is rigged. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of it is. I mean, Max got
we see it all
snubbed
the time.
his
There's all
rookie
these
year.
rumors about these leagues being scripted, and like it's not completely true, but I think there is some truth to that. So the way I look at it is, and I think everyone else should look at it this way, is if you sort of view the individual players and their contributions to the games almost as art, almost as
Yeah.
this guy just naturally is really good at what he does. It does, it doesn't always matter if he wins or not, because that will involve a lot of times involves, if the league, gives that particular team or player its blessing. In other words,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it doesn't have the ref sandbag their, their opportunity and whatnot. So that's what I get out of it. So that's,
I agree with that
football
point.
especially, right? Like I see a guy throw a great spiral, and I'm like, wow, that is a great throw. Like that. That's the kind of stuff that I get out of the NFL. I mean, I personally, I guess by watching the games, especially, primetime television or part of my local broadcast or whatever, I guess I'm, part of the NFL's business model, and I'm part of the NFL making money. But and I don't think anyone else should do any more than I'm doing. But I'm not the type of guy who pays, for Red Zone or for Sunday Ticket. I don't pay for NFL Plus. I haven't even bought a jersey in
I
years.
I kind of gotta pay for like the game passes because I gotta watch internationally. So not real
Okay.
option. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But even
yeah, I
that's
mean,
it's not that much. It's like I don't know how much it is. It's probably like $250 a year in your currency, I think, or maybe less than that even. Because it's like $300 a year for me, not Australian dollars. That's for the
yeah,
whole 12
jerseys are
months.
like $100, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Something
I
like
hate to I hate to cut our conversation short because it is a great one, but I am going to have to end the stream in a couple minutes.
good.
But yeah, but thank you, Ozzy, for joining. Thank you for sticking it out this long.
That's
This
right,
was
brother.
great. You've definitely provided a 10 to 15-minute window of talking when I was absent. So thank you for that, and thank you as always for joining and for giving your great input on things. You're always a welcome panel member, and we always look forward to hearing what you have to say about the Raiders. So
Appreciate it, brother.
salute to you. Thank you for joining, as well as thank you to the rest of this panel for joining as always. Thank you to the mods in the chat for holding it down as always. You guys know we wouldn't be able to do this show without you guys. And last but certainly not least, thank you to our viewers for watching along and commenting along with us throughout this broadcast. We do appreciate you guys for that. Just one quick reminder before I let you guys go. As I said at the top of our broadcast, our Nightbot, which is our chat bot, has been posting various links to our various platforms throughout the comments section. So if you guys wouldn't mind just taking one last look at the Nightbot's comments to see the various links that it's posted, if you could just follow all those links and tap in with us on all those platforms, that would be greatly appreciated. And we do thank you guys in advance for that. Just to give you guys a quick rundown of those links, just to check them out really quickly here in the comments section. So first and foremost, the Death Star Report YouTube channel, which we're currently broadcasting to. If you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, liking, hit the notification bell, like as many videos as possible, and commenting on as many videos as possible, that'd be greatly appreciated. It also gave you guys a link to the Nation Nightmare YouTube channel, which is our friend and panel member Cortez's private personal YouTube channel. Same deal there. If you could subscribe, hit the notification bell, like as many videos as possible, and comment on as many videos as possible, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. It also gave you guys a link to our Twitch channel, the Death Star Report on Twitch. So if you guys wouldn't mind just giving us a follow on Twitch there as well, that'd be greatly appreciated. It also gave you guys a link to our Instagram, the Death Star Report on Instagram. So if you guys wouldn't mind following us on there, giving us a follow as well as liking some of our posts and maybe even sharing some of our posts, not only to your story, but to your friends over DMs. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. And last but certainly not least, as a final link that the Nightbot has shared with you guys, that you can check in the chat right here, is a link to our DSR Discord server. So if you guys wouldn't mind, if you're on Discord, if you haven't already, just follow that link and join us there at the Discord community. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on in there. It's a great community. It's a great way to bond over people, not only over all things Raiders, but over a wide variety of topics. We have a Raiders chat. We have a general chat. We talk about life in general. We have fantasy leagues. We're just starting up our NFL fantasy leagues. We welcome you guys to join the many leagues in that Discord. As I've said before, it is a $0 buy-in, so it's totally risk-free. And the winner of each league will get a $25 gift card. So like I said, no risk, all reward. And it's a great way to bond over people because obviously fantasy is a fun way to go about the NFL season, sort of to create your own team and really, try to be crowned a champion. So, like I said, and we also have promotional events in there like free movie nights. Free giveaways. We also have free movie nights, which is a great opportunity on a weekend night. Hop in the Discord and watch a movie with a bunch of people. We have channels dedicated to Raiders content creators, as well as updates on various sports through various platforms such as Twitter and Instagram. So like I said, just quick rundown again, Death Star Port YouTube channel, Nation Nightmare YouTube channel, Death Star Port on Twitch, Death Star Port on Instagram, and last but not least, the DSR Discord server. So if you guys wouldn't mind just taking one last look at the comment section for all the Nightbots comments, just to follow all of our links, to tap in with us on all those platforms, that would be greatly appreciated, and we do thank you guys for that. Just to give you one last reminder, as always, we'll be having our Raiders Friday Night Roundtable show this Friday, the 29th. At our regularly scheduled program at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys wouldn't mind tapping in there as well on all the regular platforms, the Death Star Port YouTube channel, Nation Nightmare YouTube channel, and of course the Death Star Port Twitch channel. So like I said, if you could tap in with us on all those platforms, as well as just remember to tune in for our next broadcast on Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. That'd be greatly appreciated. Ozzy, was there anything you wanted to say? Was there any links that you wanted people to check out? Maybe to like YouTube channel?
The only other link I could say to check out other than my Twilight Raider on YouTube is also I have TikTok now, which is Twilight Raider on TikTok. So that's the only recent one. That and the Discord that you guys set up for me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, do you have links to those? We can post them right now. You can.
That's right. I'll bring it in next time. I'll send it to you guys after. Yeah, no worries.
All right. Like I said, thank you again, Ozzy, for sticking with us this whole time. We always value your input. As he just said, make sure to look out for Port Adelaide Raider on YouTube as well as on TikTok. If you guys are on those platforms, if you could find him, give him a follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Like as much as possible, comment on as much as possible. You guys know the drill. And we do appreciate that on behalf of Ozzy as well. So, like I said, salute Ozzy. Thank you to everyone once again for joining another great broadcast. We talked about a lot of great stuff. And as training camp continues and as we roll into the preseason and then ultimately the regular season, we will continue to talk about all things Raiders, as well as, every single thing facing the team. So, salute Ozzy and salute to everyone for being a part of this broadcast. And have a great night, guys. We'll see you on Friday.
We're going, bro. Ciao.